It is 6 a.m. from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Breaking NFL news this morning. Per multiple sources, the Pittsburgh Steelers are working to finalize a trade that will send wide receiver George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys in exchange for draft picks. The Cowboys get their wide receiver 2 next to CeeDee Lamb. Pickens is entering the last year of his contract. In the NBA playoffs, the Indiana Pacers stunned the shorthanded Cleveland Cavaliers, taking Game 2 in the second round 120-19 despite Cavs guard Donovan Mitchell's 48 points. The Pacers scored the final 8 points of the game, and guard Tyrese Halliburton made the three-point dagger with 1.1 seconds left, securing the win and the 2-0 series lead. The Golden State Warriors beat the Minnesota Timberwolves last night 99-88 in Game 1, but it came at a price. Point guard Steph Curry exited the game early with a hamstring strain after playing just 13 minutes and scoring 13 points. Warriors guard Jimmy Butler led the way with 20 points, and Curry is considered day-to-day. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome to the middle of your week on 104.5 The Zone. This is RKW, fueled by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast. Whole crew is all here this morning. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, I Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins, our producer. Mike Borgonzi, Tennessee Titans general manager, joins us at 9 a.m. this morning. Rhett, Bryan at 8, switching to hour 3 for us. We're going to do some more hypotheticals this morning and more questions about the AFC South. What if something happens in the AFC South? How will it have ripple effects to the other 3 teams in the division? That is coming up at 7:20. 615-737-1045. But we begin this morning with Ramon Foster's former employer making a big move. Yeah. George Pickens headed to the Dallas Cowboys. Good morning, guys.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
Early.
Ramon's like, whoa.
I know.
Okay.
Kayla dropped that news on me as I was walking into the studio. I guess Schefter had it set for 7 Eastern or close to 7 o'clock to drop that tweet out. Not surprising, although I'm surprised at the time of the year that this trade has happened right now. Pittsburgh drafted 0, and I mean 0 wide receivers in this draft. And considering they're in a position to need help offensively for sure, because you can't just do it off of tight ends and running the ball 10 times. I mean, the first 50 times in the game, first 50 plays of the game, I'm a little shocked by the timing more than anything. Not shocked that he's actually traded. I'd heard just a little bit around George. Yeah, it was a while back. I thought it would happen before the draft. George comes with some professional baggage. I don't think he's done anything off the field or nothing like that. And Pittsburgh has historically done this move right here, time and time again at the wide receiver position. It is a team that really treasures the defense first and running the football second. And when it comes down to wide receiver talent, they always feel like they can find replacements, and they have. I'm thinking about at the guys that have been let go earlier than expected or traded also.
Yeah.
George Pickens is now in that conversation. Martavis Bryant was in that conversation. Antonio Brown was in that conversation. Emmanuel Sanders was in that conversation.
So who's who?
Wow.
Plexico Burress
Burris,
was let go. Well, not let go. He ended up being allowed to go to the Giants.
Nate Washington.
I was just
Had a
my
great
gosh.
career in Tennessee after leaving Pittsburgh.
Nate Washington did the exact same thing, and each guy after each. Mike Wallace, another one.
Holy smokes.
That have done this. They will get their 4 years out of that position, especially if it's not well, Antonio Brown's a little bit longer.
It's a fair point, though.
Yeah, they will do this often. I just question what are they expecting as far as the season this year, because the threats offensively at wide receiver are DK Metcalf, which I said I thought it could have been a great pairing with George, just on the basis that now George becomes number 2. George is still number 2 going to Dallas with CeeDee Lamb. But you need a dual threat wide receiver, I thought. And having two good ones like that, I thought with a lot of talent could work out for you. But they have DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, Memphis native, University of Memphis alum, and Roman Wilson. The second-round draft pick from last year was the third round. He
Michigan,
only played
I don't think he was a second round, but
third-round pick then.
I think you're right.
5 plays, if I'm not mistaken, last year that he played. So he doesn't even have playing experience behind him, especially if you think you're going with Mason Rudolph this fall.
Well, yeah, because right now
pick.
there's
84th pick,
okay.
Yeah, third-round pick.
Right now there is no quarterback. I mean that's the other
Mason.
thing.
Will Howard.
I mean,
Will Howard, yeah.
And really, that could be the 1-2 there because we still don't know anything about Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Because he hasn't said anything.
No, and neither have they on Aaron Rodgers. I think they expect each other to marry each other, but at this point, if I was Aaron Rodgers saying what was left as far as help, I wouldn't. I would retire if I was Aaron Rodgers, and that's the issue that they're running into.
What do you think the pick will be back? Because right now, Adam Schefter reporting it's obviously a draft pick, but nothing has been detailed.
I think Dallas is in a win now mode.
Yeah, like always,
and I think a deal has to come with this, probably a third or more.
I was going to say third.
Third, okay.
Here's Jordan Schultz, third-round pick, and a day 3 pick swap. So, yeah. You were going to have to get day 2 compensation for George Pickens.
Yeah, you had to.
For sure.
I just expected immediate help this year if you were going to make that move. The timing of it seems off.
It is interesting because then it does beg the question, kind of like we asked with Will Levis, like maybe was the offer on the table a 4th now or a 3 next year after the draft. And, I think Pittsburgh is more in a win-now mode considering the urgency for their head coach and Mike Tomlin to get over the hump of the playoffs.
Yeah, his coaching resume and just history is going to be tested this year.
Totally.
Absolutely.
In a major way for Coach Tomlin, man. Again, hell of a coach. I think the world of him as a leader of men and just a coach in general, too.
Sure.
But football and just professional sports have no grace. We've seen coaches of the years get fired, like within a year after or 2 after winning that award. So I can only imagine the pressure that's going to come with that job this year, especially when I feel like at this point, Pittsburgh is probably 3rd, 4th in the AFC North. Definitely not ahead of where Cincinnati and Baltimore is right now. And Cleveland, depending upon what they do at the quarterback position, they always got players. They always, and we've spoken about their coach. The coach is a little bit better. They just always seem to make mistakes here and there.
Sure.
Every team I feel like in AFC North got better except for Pittsburgh this draft season.
I mean, in Dallas, you speak on the other end, Dallas obviously getting a lot in this, and it'll be interesting to see the CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens personalities because these are both big, huge personalities. I mean, Dak's not complaining about it because if you had looked at the wide receiver group before that, you had CeeDee Lamb and like kind of everybody else. I mean, they got Jonathan Mingo this year. That I thought they gave away too much for a guy like that. Paris Campbell, Jalen Tolbert. Just, names, but not names where you're like, okay, that's a 1-2.
That you believe.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Dak, again, they're giving him stuff to work with and expecting him to do something with it.
Offensively, very problematic for Pittsburgh. They're young. They're very young offensively. Hey, picking in the top 10 next year. Let's go. And it's hosted in Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah. Just thought about that. Yep, sure is.
You should do
top 10.
You should do one of the picks. I wonder if you'll be able to read.
They do that for draft picks. Respectfully,
like you'll read like the second round or something?
They still do that for draft picks. I don't know if it's many. That's an NFL draft event, the way I've always viewed it. So they always go with draftable guys. And I don't even know if I've seen James Harrison, who's a Hall of Famer, who should be a Hall of Famer. I've never seen James Harrison up there. So that's just how it goes.
Okay.
That's just how the league goes.
I think that's stupid, but whatever. I get it.
It'll probably be somebody up there.
I saw a Browns writer for The Athletic right this morning, just a few minutes ago, say Zach Jackson says, history says that when the Steelers are ready to move on from a receiver, the Steelers are right. Sometimes it's not about being right, though. It's about taking your medicine and putting together a team. And that's the challenging part is that, like, sometimes you do have to kind of grit your teeth and make it work with guys in a locker room that you need in order to be productive. Like, and I get it. Like, what's the opportunity cost right now of George Pickens? Like, who's the next best option now for the Steelers to be wide receiver 2?
Roman Wilson.
Yeah, that's a big red flag for a team that is in a loaded division and that has win now expectations for their head coach because, I mean, Like, it's interesting because these are the kinds of things that Mike Tomlin could get run out of town for that he may have had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Or to your point about, like, when Pittsburgh make those moves, they're usually right in those situations. Well, I'll say this. I know for a fact a lot of things that have happened there with George that has been swept under the rug and kept out of the public, to where I've always heard Coach Tomlin say, I'll deal with him until I can afford not to. The
And now he can afford not to.
Yeah, he'll tell you. Like, the moment I find your replacement is the moment you're gone. He said it about Antonio Brown, and we looked at him because there was a lot of stuff that went on with AB from time to time, and Coach T would simply tell us, man, he helped us win. And right now, he's one of the best in the world. So because of that, cut your teeth and let's go out here and play football. It sucked as a teammate to hear that because a lot of people, discipline, this. But, like, to your point, Will, you bite the stick and just say, yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Not every time. But sometimes you got to make it work.
This one was, I'll put it this way. The same conversation that you've heard about how you deal with Georgia prospects, having to knock on their doors, have to go make sure they go to class.
That is where he went.
Get them to practice. Well, some stuff did not change.
Yeah.
Even as a pro. Even as a pro.
So would you have rather had the 4th-round pick this year or a 3rd-round pick next year for George Pickens?
I've said this time and time again. You know I've said this. Their ability to reset themselves is a suck. Go get a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Get your quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of them. You tuck your head and pull up next year when it's draft time.
Sure. Garrett Nussmeier is going to look great in a Steelers jersey.
I mean, Drew Aller.
Drew Aller. Sam Levitt.
Kay Klubnik.
Fernando Mendoza. Yeah. Come on down.
I've said it. Like,
for real, though.
This has been my
it might be
MO.
time.
And
that's fair.
And there's also the conversation around Coach Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh has gotten loud.
That's unknown too.
And that would probably be. I mean, if the Steelers are a 6-win team with a top 10 pick next season, is Mike Tomlin out?
I'd like to think.
Not do you think he would be out? Not would you make him be out?
Okay.
Do you think
he's
they would
out?
get him
Yeah,
out?
I think he'd be out.
And I think that's incredibly short-sighted as well.
I do. But here's the other thing. 20-plus years in one spot for a coach.
That's insane.
It's pretty dang good.
It's
pretty dang good.
Insane.
It is, but, like, you got to always think, like, people always love the grass on the other side, right?
Sure.
And that's the way this situation, I feel like, is going to unfold, which is why I brought up the conversation here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Often.
Sure.
And
Would you take them?
Oh, hell yeah.
It is really difficult to sustain success. Yes, I would take him. It's really difficult to sustain success without ever having a bad enough season to allow yourself the top 10 pick in every round. Right. Because, again, it's that part of it. Like the 33rd team guys that we love, Sam and Steve, have told us, like, yeah, of course the Titans draft class was good. They picked at the top of every round. Like, it's supposed to be good. If you're bad long enough, the NFL is built for you to become good. And the Steelers haven't been bad, and they've just kept being good. So, fascinating. Interesting. So, again, if you missed it, Cowboys and Steelers working on a trade with George Pickens. Diana Orsini just adding that they worked on it before the draft. Talk stalled, but Dallas came back with an improved effort that eventually landed Pickens in Pittsburgh. It lines up with the exact guess that we just made. Like, yeah, this is probably a day 3 pick of a couple of picks. And then now, once it became day 2, they said, all right, you met our price.
Yeah.
I mean, that honestly is how you sustain success in any league, is everyone has a price. And it sometimes keeps you from being elite, but it allows you to be really good all the time. When everyone has a price that is met and you just, all right, that's our price. The chart we have says, see ya. That's the standard is the standard. Let's move on. Like, that's how you continue winning 9 and 10 games every year. Mm-hmm. That's draft and develop.
It is.
615-737-1045. So there's something in the world that I just don't get the hype on. I just truly do not understand it. I think the Met Gala is one of the dumbest things in the world. I truly do not understand why anyone gives a crap and cares. What is that in sports? What do you just not understand the hype over? We'll talk about that next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people. They have been here in business since 1990 and are family owned and operated. Jim Hiller was recently named amongst the most admired CEOs because of how he truly cares for his team and his clients. It's one thing I'll tell you, too, you need to check on before this weather heats up, man, is your HVAC. Go ahead and get that tuned, man. Get that Freon in there. Make sure that all the vents and air filters are clean in your house, because when it gets hot here, y'all know it gets hot, and you do not want issues with your HVAC system whatsoever, man. And the best part about Hiller servicing you is this, man, is their motto is happy you'll be, or the service is free. If you aren't pleased with the work performed on your house, they will make it right every single time, man. Again, one of the best companies around. I also am a customer of them and love when they come to my house. Very prompt, very, very professional, and always good at what they do. For more information or to book with Hiller, simply visit happyhiller.com.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone, brewed up by Scooter's Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. George Pickens traded to the Dallas Cowboys. And Andrew Portland wants to weigh in on Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin. What's up, Andrew?
Oh, not much. First off, you guys are great.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
But I just wanted to point out that how crazy it would be if Mike Tomlin went on to be successful somewhere else, considering how young he is, when, 20 seasons, and you fire him after his first losing one.
Yeah.
I'd at least give him a chance for a first-round quarterback.
Yeah.
But thanks. I was listening.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it, Andrew.
Nice, Andrew. Just turned 53, Mike.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those situations where you got to give the coach the right QB after the QB left.
Mm-hmm.
And Pittsburgh has been chasing that ever since Big Ben left. And quite honestly, Ben, we said it. I remember talking to Ramon about it, like right when it happened, when he left. Like, he's the ultimate "you'll miss me when I'm gone" player, Ben Roethlisberger.
And it's turned into that.
100%.
100%. It didn't help also. At the same time, Steelers' old GM, Kevin Colbert, was stepping away too. And one thing that most want to do when they have the ability to retire is the same thing that Ozzie Newsome did with Baltimore too.
Yeah.
He left his quarterback. And it was Lamar. He did good.
Yeah.
Kevin didn't leave a good quarterback with Kenny Pickett. That also screwed you over too, is chasing that product as far as saying, yeah, we got our guy for the future. That did not work out at all.
It's kind of wild, and I know we're not in Pittsburgh, but we talk about Mike Tomlin more than anybody else, and sometimes you forget there's a GM there. Like, that's how much Mike Tomlin is the face of that organization.
Yep. This feels exactly like the same pathway that Andy Reid took with Philly. Yeah, maybe not as long as where he was there, but he had one losing season, and then he was out there, kind of ran his course in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that would be more on the lack of playoff and Super Bowl success? They haven't won since 2009 and won a playoff game since 2017.
Yeah.
But it's obviously they had the winning seasons, but how much is it more of the playoff success, postseason?
That plays a
That's all
part.
it is, yeah.
It is. That's the biggest part is when the owner comes into the team meeting every year and said the goal is the Super Bowl. There is no other goal. Then that plays a part into how to the fans' expectation of it, and also the idea that you made the playoffs. Just making it for them is just like whatever. Like, when have you beat somebody to get to the second round? When has it actually been competitive? And one of the last times they got beat in Pittsburgh like that for hosting the game, it was by the Browns. They got absolutely smacked in the playoffs. And then you look at yourself, too, chasing the quarterbacks that are also still in your division. It's more than just the wins and losses. I know Mike Tomlin doesn't like the conversation. You never had a losing season. In retirement, he might. But right now, it doesn't matter at all.
Ricky on YouTube writes in and says, I'll pass on Tomlin, I imagine for the Titans. Too stubborn and hard-headed. Been coming up short at the best organization in football for too many years.
Yeah, that's understood, but you love the coach, though, 100%.
Sometimes a coach just needs a change of scenery and a young quarterback to work with.
You on that.
Yeah.
If he became available here, or in many other places, there are going to be teams jumping at the chance
Absolutely.
to hire Mike Tomlin immediately if that were to happen.
I mean, there's been stability there.
I do think there's probably a change of scenery situation for him at some point.
Yeah,
if he doesn't go to the desk of CBS, Fox,
it feels
whoever
like
else.
this just got closer to happening with them. Like, the Steelers, it's interesting. They're just not in a position to downgrade talent and not have an immediate replacement for that talent. Because wide receiver 2 is a starting position. I mean, you are trading a starter in a win-now window.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
It is.
Interesting.
And then not overly trying to trade. I mean, do what the Rams did, essentially.
Yep.
Like, the Rams did
sure.
somewhat get bad after they was like bleep all those picks. They still had their quarterback, and now they're fostering a new future.
It came
with
back quick.
A strong foundation of young talent for the Rams.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, the other day, the MET Gala was happening. And of all the events like that are on our social media feeds, that are on television, this is the one that I get the least. I think the Met Gala is one of the dumbest things that demands our attention. One of the all-time just weird, I don't get it. I don't get the hype. I don't get the fashion part of it. I don't understand why, if it's a fundraiser, why are we buying $1 million outfits? Why don't we just donate that money to the charity or to whatever funds that we are trying to raise. I think it's totally hypocritical. I think it's you know what? I'll just come out and say it. I think it's dumb. I think it's really dumb. And the outfits look terrible. Like 1% of them, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. What in sports do you just not get the hype over? Like everyone loves it. Everyone thinks it's awesome. Everyone just, wow, this thing is really cool. And then you're just sitting over here like, what? Why? I don't get the hype. What are you like shaking the fist at Sky about in the sports world like I am with the Met Gala?
Well, if you're going to correlate it to fashion, I mean, I think the first thing is what just happened this weekend in terms of the Kentucky Derby. I've never been, so maybe I can't specifically say, this is a great event. Like, it is worth dressing up and putting a stupid hat on that looks ridiculous.
The hats are very stupid.
Right? To go and do this, where I look at this and you're talking about all the headlines it gets and the weird fashion, even though half of it is awful, and the celebrities that go to it to just pose, right in front. And then you go see horses run for less than a minute. And half the time, regular people can't even see it because they're down in the infield.
That's fair.
I don't get the Kentucky Derby hoopla and all that comes along with what you have to look like in the Kentucky Derby. And not only that, guys, look at all the things that have offspringed off the Kentucky Derby, like that you look forward to dressing up for to go watch horses perform.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea. And I'm sure the cocktails there are also very good, but I'm sure they're very expensive.
Get you one anywhere, no doubt.
Exactly. So I don't really get that.
So you never been to steeplechase?
No.
It's coming up this weekend.
It is this weekend.
I don't.
Everyone should go once.
I don't want to put a hat on.
You don't have to.
I feel like they wear that there.
I don't think you have to.
Look at Will. He's like,
do you?
No, I agree on the horse stuff. I'm with you. I think it's.
Do you have to wear a hat?
I also think it's funny. No, you don't have to do anything. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you comfortable. I don't think it's just funny to me that we talk so much about these horses and like the horse is like, huh? I'm a celebrity.
Do I have to wear a hat?
You say that though, but I saw a video. I'm on like horse Instagram right now, by the way. Horsegram. Okay, it is coming through my feed like crazy. Boy, because I do like the Derby. I love my granddad. I grew up with horses though. But what I will say about the horses not knowing, they played the starting horn like for formal race horses and just like over a loudspeaker, and the horses stopped and raised their ears up like, what? Like, they know, and they've been trained for that, too.
Sure.
But they know they're doing something to, like, the races. They were retired horses, and, like, these owners were playing, like, the starting horn sound, and they were just like, huh? Like, they stopped. So they know something. They don't know why, though.
Sure.
I'm with you. They don't know why.
No, it's just funny.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
is.
leading sports center. It's a horse that has no idea he's a celebrity.
Right?
No, I get it.
And I haven't
Very
been
true.
there, but I have watched it. I mean, I watch it every year. So
For sure.
Yeah, you
just
don't have to
I
wear a
haven't
horse,
been.
though. Or you don't have to wear a horse, though, too. You don't have to wear a hat, for sure.
Yeah, I got one, and it's probably going to be a little controversial on this one. I, for the life of me, do not understand the hype around the ESPYs.
Oh, great one.
Yeah.
Absolutely a great one.
Ridiculous.
It's a fantastic pick.
The ESPYs, man.
Yes.
Like, it is a Stars Award show more than anything. Like, I look at this situation and say, like, I'm looking at, like, the stats of it. Tiger Woods the most honored ESPY recipient. Duh. Duh. Nobody's done what Tiger's done. Like, you know who the winner is going to be. The best athletes in sports in football this year. Peyton Manning, yes. Duh. Aaron Rodgers, yes. Duh. Aaron Donald, duh. Like, it is one of the... It's a great night to celebrate sports, but it's also a night of just like there's so many other avenues that they can give awards to that they choose not to in that event. And the most obvious pick and selection of we just want the biggest stars in sports in one building on one night. I think that is by far one of the silliest awards ever. Like, I've never in my life sat down and watched the ESPYs.
Nope. I haven't, honestly, since like Peyton Manning's monologue years ago, I don't think I've watched it.
But where'd you see the monologue at? Was it social media?
That one I watched. I mean, that was years enough ago. Like, that was probably more like 10 years ago. That was when he said, like, there are one-liners. Again, they're like, if it's important enough and funny enough, I'll just see it on social media. is the way the ESPYs are. But when he looked after Kevin Durant had just gone from the Thunder to the Warriors, and he said, Kevin Durant is here. He actually heard that Simone Biles of the U.S. gymnastics team was going to be here. They're so good that he also wants to be on their team.
Hey, what a burn.
And then he was not happy about it, but like everyone around him was laughing. There's like one of those moments every 5 years, but you're 100% right. It does not hit the way it used to.
It does not hit like that, man. I don't know. It's like, okay, yeah, you guys showed up. We know who's going to win every award. I know who's going to win the Walter Payton Man of the Year award every year. Like, the answers are there. They're absolutely there. And then athletes get there. I'm just like, oh, my God, this is embarrassing.
That's fair. Justin, what you got?
I got another one, too. I got a few.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Right now, boxing.
Oh, okay.
Just like in a boxing event.
Like MMA or like just specific to boxing?
Just old school boxing right now. Like there's nobody that's drawing you to it. The sport is still there. There's some good boxers that are in and around it, but like the heavyweights on a part of the middle heavyweights or the light heavyweights on a part of it. It is one of those sports I feel like it's such a smaller crowd than what it used to be. And even I feel like MMA, UFC is getting to that same conversation. Like they're trying to make it so big, but at the same time, it's only the same people going to the events. Like there's nothing new that's drawing you to boxing. There's nothing new that's drawing you, in my opinion, to UFC. Like we're more, I feel like, we have more eyes now on the world slapping competition.
Oh, my goodness.
Than we do like MMA and boxing. And I respect those guys that do it.
Yeah.
But especially on the boxing side, who's trying to be a new up-and-comer when it comes to boxing?
Well, I think Jake Paul is the reason why boxing is so overrated right now.
You're right.
It's so fake. It's a show.
Yeah, you're right.
But you get more eyes on it by having Jake Paul on it. More than like the actual, and I say respectfully to him, but like more than the actual boxers, the ones that were in a dirty gym in Baltimore or Atlanta or Dallas. Like Jake Paul came from a YouTube world and said, let me make your sport more entertaining.
Right.
Like Mike Tyson before he fought Jake Paul.
You see what I'm saying?
I will say, let me add in this, because my first boxing event that was a bigger boxing event, I actually like the sport. I'm not a UFC guy or gal at all, but I do like boxing. Like, it's just been so watered down, and it has never been the same since some of the bigs have done it, right? I mean, Mike Tyson, you name it, Floyd Mayweather, all those guys. But I watched Caleb Plant, who is a local
Nashville guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was it, Will? 3, 4, 5 years ago almost now.
I went to that match.
When he was at Bridgestone. It was actually really cool.
Again, another thing that's probably cooler in person.
Right, but I would have never thought
thing with
that
horse
before.
racing.
Where is like Caleb Plant at in the boxing world right now?
Yeah, I mean, he had a little good run there for a minute as an underdog type of story. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, you say, who is the guy?
But it used to be like 3, 4, 5, 6 big events a year in boxing.
Yeah, and I feel like every big event never lives up to the hype.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, or it's just like a YouTube thing that's like, here's some celebrity that's going to fight like an actual retired fighter.
You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of like golf in the way that like the YouTube crowd is starting to almost outrate, not in golf, it like hasn't yet, but like it's starting to really grow so much. Like if you want to watch the sport, you can just watch like YouTubers play it versus like actually watching the height of the sport.
Yeah. I see somebody put in there, Canelo versus Crawford is this September. Like we used to have one in like May and then you get another one in July, but like we got to wait till the big event.
Yeah.
And like even Tank, like even his boxing match, you know Tank is going to win every single time. Like it's so obvious more than anything.
Ron Slay has chimed in and says the problem is we don't have a heavyweight anymore.
Yeah.
What happened to the British guy, Tyson Fury?
And then the other guy too.
The Gypsy King?
The Bronze Bomber. Like Deontay, like even he fell off. Will, to your point,
not advertised a lot either. That's the other thing. I mean, we can't just like flip it on the regular state. Like you got to go buy a lot of that stuff too, pay-per-view. You know, so if you're not going to it or you don't have the funds to buy it, or it's just not advertised as much, you're not going to see it. Oh, Plant is going to fight Jamal Charlo, but again, like you got to really follow these things specifically.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, you got to be a fan of it. And I guess more than anything, like what Savage just said, like the heavyweight side of it and just the fact that MMA and other events have taken this, I feel like the luster away from it almost in a sense.
UFC. Mm-hmm.
Justin, what you got?
So to kind of piggyback on the ESPYs, I don't like any award show. I just think they're all boring. It's all overdone. Just all the concerts, the singing, the just it plays out. Anyways, All-Star games.
All-Star games.
They're too much. The NHL All-Star games, it's 3v3 now, which it's trying to get a little bit more entertaining. The NBA All-Star game is very political and what side are you going to pick? Who's your team captains and who they're picking. It's becoming way too much. The Pro Bowl is not what it used to be.
I got Pro Bowl out there too.
Too much.
That's bad. That's taking the biggest dip.
At least the Pro Bowl doesn't really have hype around it anymore. If this whole
Except
topic
for
is
ESPN.
what do you not get the hype around? I don't even think them.
They
the
do,
Pro Bowl
shows
is
their live.
Yeah, I mean they have to. It's the NFL. The worst product of the NFL is still more cared about than the best product of pretty much every other sport. So I get it because the NFL is king. But we could all have a conversation and put the Pro Bowl out to pasture. Nobody would have hurt feelings.
Wouldn't even miss it.
No.
See, Rich on YouTube says that the draft is an award show. I don't agree with that.
No, the draft is not
I
an
also
award
think
show.
that couldn't be overhyped because I think millions and millions of people love watching that.
Some people could think, though, that aren't NFL fans or not diehard could think the NFL Combine's overhyped. A lot of guys running in their undies. I mean, I'm serious.
Yeah.
We don't because it means something to us, but people on the outside that maybe aren't as detailed about the sport are like, really?
You think it could have helped Shadore Sanders this year?
Yes.
buddy.
Heck yeah, it could
Absolutely.
have. Listener on Twitch makes the point that says the NHL All-Star Game was at least changed to the Four Nations Cup this year. That was a great idea. 100%.
Sure.
100%. I still think a USA versus the world weekend tournament in the NBA would do numbers.
Right.
100%.
If you had Giannis and Jokic in Spain and France going up, like Wembanyama going up against a USA team, would be awesome.
Do you all think real quick that the home run derby's overrated?
No.
I love it.
No.
I like
But
it
I think
still.
some might say that too.
They've overcomplicated the system.
Right.
They've made it too difficult. It should just go back to being 10 outs. And you just hit until there's 10 outs. We just want to watch dingers.
It's
We just
so
want to watch the ball
fun.
and go, whoa. There's not really they don't need to make it more complicated than it is.
No.
Have everyone have 10 outs. The top two people get one more.
I'm with you.
For me, it's people will not like me for this. Again, I'm not telling you what not to like.
Right.
You all like whatever you want to. I'm not telling you how to feel. There are a lot of people that love this. You probably know what I'm going to say. I just can't get into the NBA. I just can't do it. I have tried so many times. I like the sport of basketball. I love college basketball. I grew up loving women's college basketball. Heck, I grew up in a family where my grandparents probably loved the Lady Vols more than they love the Vols, okay? I just can't do it, and there's not a local tie. I can't get excited about the Grizzlies. I never have been able to. I have tried being a Hawks fan. I tried being a just LeBron fan when I was in high school. The games are too long. There's too many reviews in the last 5 minutes of the games. To me, it's not the style of basketball that I prefer. I like the full court press, defense, games in the 70s. I prefer that to games in the 120s. And it's just my preference.
Sure.
I know I'm weird. I don't care. You can hate me for it, and that is totally your right as well. I genuinely does not bother me because I've always been weird within this regard, and I'm okay with it. But it just doesn't entertain me. There's too many games. The games are too long. I will get up for the conference finals and the finals because that's drama, that's theater. But for me, a sport where the off-field product is better than the on-court stuff, to me, not in general to all of you, but to me, it's more interesting the trades and the drama than it is what actually happens. And I'm just not.
Do you think if we had a team here, Will, and it was your own?
Yes, I would get into it.
Okay.
I would 100% get into it.
One last
And
night,
Scout's
though.
Honor, I saw the end of I'll watch the last 2 minutes. It's just but that's a time commitment.
That's been good.
To watch the last 2 minutes of an NBA game, which is part of the problem. I'm willing to do that for the playoffs. I'm a fair weather NBA fan. You know this about me. Yeah, I just said that again. But anyway, I don't know. It's just, and again, local tie, there are too many MLB games, but I love the Braves, so I'll watch it. But I don't watch other MLB games. I'm consistent with it.
Yeah.
So you like college basketball?
Yeah.
One more I saw on the list, though, too. Is the NIT overhyped?
No. I don't think there's any hype around the NIT.
I think that maybe it used to be. Maybe it used to be.
I was wondering. I saw that one on the list. What else?
615-737-1045. What is overhyped in the world of sports? What do you just not get in honor of my just disdain for the Met Gala? More on that next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. If you've been looking for cars, you just see the words buy here, pay here. Maybe you have looked elsewhere. And look, I get it. Most of those dealers, they come with certain reputations. But I'm here to tell you, there's one place you can go. Nolensville Road Auto Mart. They're different for a few simple reasons. They have been doing business in Nashville for 61 years. They're Nashville natives that only sell clean title cars under 12 grand. So if you're new to town and you need a place to trust, they've got you. Maybe you need that first car for the 16-year-old and their family. Well, they can do that as well. 615-242-1279. That's the number to call. You don't even need to take my word for it. Check out the Google reviews. They are excellent, and that is saying something for a car dealership. One location on Nolensville Road, close to Thompson Lane. They will get you in and out in an hour or less. And the best part, they're the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville, and they work with your own financing if you have it. Flexibility, transparency, and honesty. That's why I recommend my friends at Nolensville Road Auto Mart. If you're looking for that next vehicle, give them a call, 615-242-1279. RKW on 104.5 The Zone is brewed by Scooter's Coffee. We have got the F and Bank chat hot off the press this morning, ready to go, fired up. What is overhyped in the world of sports in honor of my let's just say lack of understanding on why anyone should care about the Met Gala and a bunch of celebrities dressing up in outfits that cost millions of dollars? 615-737-1045. Ron Slade telling us at the F and Bank chat on YouTube that 3HL might be appointment listening today for his response to my NBA take.
Let's go.
And I completely expect
I
it.
love it. I love it.
Does not bother me one bit.
Let's go.
I know I'm weird. I'm not interested by one thing that many people are. And look, I'd love to be interested in it. As much as it's talked about on ESPN, I'd love to be a part of it. Yeah. I just, for whatever reason, the way God made me, he did not sprinkle in cares about the NBA when I was created. Let's go to Ken in Tullahoma. What is overhyped in sports? What's up, Ken?
Hey, happy hump day.
Happy to see you as well.
Great show. Hey, what is overhyped is the NFL Pro Bowl. What they turned that into is an absolute joke. Back in the day when fantasy football came out, man, these two teams, the AFC and NFC, the NFC wore their blue jerseys. The AFC, their red ones, they wore their original team helmets. It was easy to identify the stars. They had a beach volleyball game before, but when they got on the field, Ronnie Lott and Barry Sanders, hey, they played to win. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to bring that back for the fans, man. That was one of my favorite events, but no more. I just want to say the NFL Pro Bowl is overhyped now.
Yeah. I roll with that one,
Thank
too.
you, Ken.
It's still an
You're
honor.
not wrong.
I think the honor is still there of making the Pro Bowl. Definitely will not be devalued. But the game, yeah, absolutely.
Do you think if it went back to Hawaii, like it would be something like, did guys get excited about, I think like being in Orlando too.
I don't think it matters.
It's like, no, nothing against Orlando, but I wouldn't even go to watch it in Orlando.
Not even.
Yeah.
Them boys make way too much money and understand the game way too much now to play it that hard again.
We just got a very disrespectful comment in the F and Bank show.
What happened?
The same guy who says that Jalen Milrose should have been the number 1 overall pick just had an even worse take in the F and Bank chat and said the Masters.
Oh, no.
Buddy, if there is, and I say buddy affectionately, if there is one thing in the world that is not hyped enough, it might be the Masters.
Don't do that.
We will stand for no Masters slander on this radio program or any other.
I knew someone would have
ridiculous.
that take, though.
I felt like it would be out there.
No.
I did. I had a feeling. I was like, I don't know if it's because we are in the South, and you said it should be hyped more, but there is a lot of love for it here, right? Because it's close by. I had a feeling someone would say that.
There's
I'm not
love for it because it's the greatest thing we have to offer in America.
It is a good.
I feel like the
tradition, the pageantry.
I feel like the same conversation had about the Derby is the same one you can have about the Masters for some people.
Yeah, you don't have to dress as crazy. But
nobody can take a picture of you.
You got to go dress like you're about to go play golf at the Masters.
That is
probably have to buy a lot in the shop.
Fighting words.
Yeah.
Nah.
Bobby in Nashville next. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, guys. Will, I'm with you. I just don't understand the NBA. I grew up in the Jordan era and still don't get it. And, Miss Kayla, the BKFC, if you don't like the UFC, BKFC is almost like boxing, bare knuckle fighting.
Oh.
Bare knuckle fighting.
Bare knuckle fighting.
Okay.
Hey, that's what right there is built for demons, okay?
That's built for the new wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys, George Pickens.
I watched that at lunchtime in middle school. That's for sure.
Bare knuckle
We
fighting.
had a lot of bare knuckle fighting out on the playground.
Hey, search it on YouTube real quick. That is a filthy game.
Interesting.
It's wild. How about the WWE? I'm not a WWE person, but the people who are
I'm okay having a little bit of a hot take on the NBA. If I come after the WWE, there are a lot of people that I really like who are going to be very angry at me.
Oh yeah, I think it's like our entire station.
It is.
It's like WWE.
I actually get it more than I used to. I watched an event last summer for the first time, and I was kind of like, I kind of want to watch this. This is it. I understood it for the first time.
Besides the Super Bowl, WrestleMania is by far the best event I've ever gone to in my life.
It's good theater.
In my life.
I think it's good theater.
Yeah.
I really do. I understand it more than I used to.
Yeah.
They're probably going to host here when that new stadium comes up too. WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's the plan.
WrestleMania is elite. Do you hear me? Oh my god.
I'd like to go to just one to experience it.
What's
know?
that? Oh, you should.
WrestleMania,
You
yeah.
should.
Oh, yeah, it'd be really
Like, I
I would
don't watch
100%
it, but I would
Yeah.
go.
Somebody might choke slam you though, Will, if you slander WWE though. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, and I'm not. No, I get it. No,
Somebody might choke
I
slam
was
you.
saying probably 5 years ago that would have been my answer. It is not anymore.
Yeah.
I understand. The promos, like the theater, the drama, I like it. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. Ryan, up next. Hey, Ryan.
Morning, guys. How are y'all?
Good.
Morning.
My most overrated sports event is the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Ryan's with me.
One percenters with ridiculous hats and ascots is just I don't get it. I don't get it. Not for us common folk. I don't get it.
Well, I'll say this. I've
Appreciate you guys.
known some
Thank you, Ryan.
borderline check folks that have gone and made it look real good too. Though it's
Sure.
a matter of overselling it. Is what it is for the Derby.
Right.
Derby puts you in a Renaissance type atmosphere of where you feel like you got to go. Now, if you're buying a box, you're 1% doing that.
It's
type
like
of
an
stuff.
influencer thing now too. I've had
Yeah,
enough
it's
with
crazy.
influencers. I don't need to see them at sporting
I feel like
events
you need to go
either.
to steeplechase.
They're on my
I
TikTok.
feel like you need to go.
We got to get Kayla
steeplechase.
steeplechase.
We got to get you to steeplechase.
Y'all are like, okay,
We'll get a
Kayla.
sponsor.
Gotta get you to steeplechase.
I'll say this: I'll bring the fashion the right way, though, because
Okay.
that's the one thing
Just
that
no
makes
hat.
me so mad is people try to overdo it. It doesn't always have to be crazy.
You would rock a hat.
So a
Just a sleek one.
commenter on YouTube says, Will and the one caller are probably terrible at basketball. That's why they say the NBA. Yeah, that's true. I'll admit it. I'm not good at any sport. How'd you know? I've told the story before. I dribbled with my right hand, but I would shoot with my left. So I had to switch over hands. Oh, I was awful. I was so bad at basketball because then I grew. Like, oh, you can go inside. Nope.
Yep.
Nope. You get in my way, I ain't making that layup.
By
Absolutely
the way,
not.
J. Cole,
I'll own it.
the big bro, I'm with you. I'm not a U.S. Open fan either.
Oh, for real?
I'm just not.
I love
tennis?
US
I'm not a
Open.
tennis person. I used to cover it, and it was like so hard for me to cover in terms of like shooting it, then making sure I was keeping the score right, and maybe that put the bad name on it for me and the bad experience because I've never really been to a grand event of it. But I think covering it growing up in the business scarred it.
Honestly, I think the theme of all these answers is it's more fun in person.
Yeah, that's fair.
The NBA game I've
That's
been
fair.
to was fun. Like, I honestly, I tried to rack my brain for something else, and I couldn't come up with anything else. So I just went with the thing that I just don't
You
love.
spoke your truth.
Yeah, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you spoke your truth.
I don't mind.
Another overhyped thing, and it probably is local, the NHL lottery draft.
Oh, that. No, I'm with you on that one.
Snoopy
People are
said-
hyping up.
And I
the-
like
See, that's the thing. We got it. It's not. This is not a topic of things we just don't like. It's like what is hyped up that like, and I don't know. It's kind of how I feel the way I do about the Pro Bowl.
Hey, DJ Snoopy says CMA Fest.
Which they didn't have. They're not having this year, by the way.
What? What? They are.
I thought that.
CMA Fest is happening.
I thought something with CMA is not happening this summer. I
Maybe.
swear to you guys.
CMA
you
Fest
gotta
will
effort
always
that
happen.
Yeah.
information,
See,
Kayla.
no,
Yeah,
CMA Fest is happening.
Even Zach said, yeah,
For
CMA
sure.
Fest sucks.
I've never
CMA
been to
Fest is
that.
more for the people out of town than it is people in town.
So is that
We
like
all
the
know this.
ESPYs of country music or music?
No, it's not. But I would say it's just more of a pain in the butt for people who live here.
Something with CMA though. What was it?
CMA
They
Fest
got-
is 100% happening.
Yeah, no, I just looked that up. That's crazy.
615-737-1045. We'll get to more of your phone calls, loaded lines. What do you not get the hype over in sports? Plus the headlines of the morning. George Pickens headed to Dallas, and a former Vol medically retiring from football coming up.
Good morning. It is 7:03 from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. Breaking NFL news this morning. Per multiple sources, the Pittsburgh Steelers are working to finalize a trade that will send wide receiver George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. And a compensation update is it will be for a third-round pick in 2026 and a day 3 pick swap in 2027. The Cowboys get their wide receiver 2 next to CeeDee Lamb, and Pickens will be entering his last year of his contract. Former Tennessee Volunteer wide receiver Brew McCoy announced via social media last night that he has decided to medically retire from the game of football. McCoy went undrafted in the NFL draft a couple weeks ago, and Jordan Schultz of NFL on Fox reports that it may have been because he made it known to the NFL teams to not select him. McCoy mentioned that it was the right path for his long-term health and well-being. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW brewed by Scooters Coffee, locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. The crew's all here for hour 2 this morning. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. We got people going today, don't we?
Yeah, we
really do.
What is overhyped in the world of sports? 615-737-1045. And we have got Mike Borgonzi joining the show in exactly 2 hours. 9 o'clock. I give you permission to miss out on a meeting at 9. If your boss asks why, says, oh, Will from the Zone said that Mike Borgonzi was coming on. I had to hear that.
Yes.
Had to listen to that. They'll understand. They know me. That they will get it. They know the show. They know the station.
Absolutely.
Actually, you know what? Tell them Ramon and Kayla from the Zone said that Mike Borgonzi's coming on, because if they like the NBA, they probably don't like me this morning.
You can say any one of us.
Yeah. You just say you was listening to RK Dub.
Yeah.
Mike Borgonzi out here spitting.
Yeah, he was on at 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
like you're going to be just doing something on your computer during the Zoom meeting anyway. Just listen to Mike Borgonzi.
That should be first
On
break
RKW.
time anyway. By 9 o'clock, it's the first break.
This morning, early today, George Pickens has been traded to the Dallas Cowboys, and the Pittsburgh Steelers will get a third-round pick and a day 3 pick swap, according to multiple reports from Dallas. Who won the trade?
Who won the trade?
Better move for which team?
Immediately Dallas. This is probably, I saw somebody just I think it's Matt Miller on Twitter said this is the worst roster that Mike Tomlin's had in a while, and I agree with it. Yeah, I agree 100% with it.
I think defense you can always feel somewhat comfortable with because, you know, that's his specialty and that's what they're known for. But offensively, again, you're kind of like, okay, where are they looking to get production this year?
Yeah, for sure. And not just that, you got some guys that are aging on defense on that side of the ball, too. You're almost in purgatory or trying to figure out what's your next move and what the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to look like. So Mike Tomlin's going to have to do his job on this one. But we'll see.
So I've got a better answer for this question than the NBA. And I can't believe I didn't go with this originally, because I didn't want to make the NBA my answer on things that are overhyped, because honestly, like there are plenty of reasons why it is kind of entertaining. It just doesn't, I just don't love it, but I get it. There's one thing that I don't get the hype about, and it's an SEC football tradition that I think is dumb.
Okay.
The Grove at Ole Miss is not special.
Really?
It's not special.
I'm about to go there this
It's not
year.
special. I have been multiple times. Every SEC team has a centrally located tailgating location.
Okay.
That is fancy, that people have a bunch of drinks, that people have really good food. Heck, there are even people that hang the chandeliers and do all the cool stuff. Like, if you go to the Quad at Alabama, if you go to, like, different areas in Auburn, and LSU tailgating scene was fantastic. Their food, oh, my gosh. But just the fact that at Ole Miss, it's centrally located and everyone's in one spot, that's not cool. That's not special. It's very overrated. I have been multiple times. I've been to 3 Tennessee Ole Miss games. I'm 1-2 there.
Okay.
So I've seen a win. It doesn't even matter that I've gotten beaten there. It's not even that. I've gotten beaten at a lot of SEC stadiums and thought that it was still a cool experience. I've talked to many people about this around who are other SEC fans. It's not that special. not that special. The Grove is overhyped.
Do I have to wear something
No,
in
whatever you
particular
want.
when I go down
Again,
there?
doesn't matter.
The Grove is
Because I feel like I
does not
won't fit
matter.
in with
No.
all the other women.
Does not matter.
the Grove.
Just be comfortable.
You probably gonna like it. I'll be
You
quite
think
honest
so?
with you.
Wait, what
I
are you-
think
what are you
you probably gonna
categorizing
like.
me
No,
as?
it's because it's for. It's a show
I mean,
almost
it's
in a
different,
sense.
which I
It's
don't do a lot of
different.
tailgating.
I'll put it this way: I've walked past it on recruiting and didn't feel comfortable around it because it's really it's fascinating at the Grove. Is what I would say. It's fascinating at the Grove.
I'm very cultured, so I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
know you are. It's
I don't know. I'm
fascinating.
not the
You
typical
are. I
blonde
give you
blue
that.
eyes.
No. You know. I just think it'll be a good time for you to where
Okay.
it's like Will said, it's off by itself. It's you walk up to it and it's just like, where do I fit in?
Is there good drinks? Now, if that part
There's
of
always
it,
good drinks
anywhere.
that part
Like,
of it, if it's not beer, I'm okay with that because I'm not a beer girl.
I'm not sure the setup right now, so
Okay.
I'm not sure if like they have like a
Craft cocktails?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they got craft
There'll be plenty of
cocktails. You know what I mean?
blackberries.
Like, real.
The drinks, the drinks are not the problem. It's just the fact that like people act like the Grove is this special thing
Sure, I
that
get
only
it.
Ole Miss has. That's just not true. Like,
I feel like if you don't
everyone
wear-
has a centrally located tailgating location where people dress up.
Yeah, I'm not wearing knee-high boots to any football game, and I
Okay.
feel
Oh,
like
no,
that's
you ain't
what
got to.
Ole Miss pre-tailgate might incorporate.
Oh no, absolutely
Knee-high
not.
boots.
I'll put it this way: any SEC tailgate, you're gonna be dolled up.
Okay.
Almost anyone I've ever seen and driven by,
Yeah.
like you're gonna get fancied up with the boots and the skirts and the shirts and everything else. Like you're gonna get dolled up, right? Will?
I'm going to stick out like a
Like-
sore thumb.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Every
but
single
don't
one
you
of them.
want to stick out as a road fan?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
try hard
I
to
just
not
want my
look like the
WSU
home
gear-
fans.
gear. So maybe I'll just deck out in that.
And what?
My Washington State
Oh, you're
gear.
Washington State. Yeah, you're gonna get dolled up for it. You'll have a good time there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no. I'm of the opinion like wear what you want to sporting events. Like I don't like people that wear jerseys. Like cool, if that's
Yeah.
what you think looks good, then go for it. If you think a polo looks good, go for it. Like just do what you want to do.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'll be interested to see it.
it's so overrated.
I'll report back too.
So
I might have the
overrated.
same thing as you guys are saying.
Commenter on YouTube says, "My hot take: golf is not a sport; it's a drinking game."
Golf is not a sport. It's a
Wait a
drinking
second.
game.
It's
How,
crazy.
how is it a drinking game?
One beer a hole.
Yeah,
It's true.
Drink every time you miss
Don't
a
do
putt.
that.
Is it okay to like act the cart girl part of like golf too? Is that cool?
what do you mean?
I don't know.
Wait,
it's just
what?
always a thing. Like I see that on social media. It's just
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Are-
all right.
But they're
Hitting
not
on the
at,
cart girl.
They're
Yeah.
not at like the Masters.
Well,
or
not them,
right?
but like in general, he said it's not a sport, and he said it's a drinking game.
But it's
Right.
definitely a sport.
yeah,
It is.
It can be a drinking game. That's actually the beauty of it. You just describe what makes golf great.
Yeah.
I'll say this underrated sport real quick: volleyball. Just wanna
Yes.
throw that
I
out there.
love volleyball.
Love that. I
just
was
gonna throw
watching
that out
our
there.
teammate Don Davenport doing the sidelines for the NCAA
Yeah.
Beach
Very
Volleyball
underrated.
Championships over the weekend.
I'm a huge volleyball fan.
Very underrated.
Ben on
sport.
YouTube says MLS is the only league that isn't the best in the world. He said, I'd rather watch European. Yeah, I also watch a lot
Yeah.
of European soccer.
Yeah.
I get
Good
it.
point.
Soccer's not for everyone. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it just because I like it.
Oh God, we got some.
Marcus in
wild
Nashville
stuff
up next.
like that.
615-737-1045. Want to talk about Mike Tomlin. What's up, Marcus? Marcus, hello.
Marcus.
Earth to Marcus.
I
Hello.
know Marcus. It's like he ain't got us on mute
And
either.
we'll see you,
He's
Marcus.
been on there for a minute, so
He-
maybe he fell asleep
We'll see you.
No, it sounds like he driving.
Yeah.
I hope he didn't fall.
Yeah, I
at the wheel.
really hope not.
Yeah.
For the rest
No,
of Nashville.
absolutely not.
Let's get another headline then. Brew McCoy medically retiring from football, announcing that yesterday. A sad story for a
That
guy
sucks.
that had, I think, as much potential at the next level if he had had better injury luck as any Josh Heupel wide receiver at Tennessee.
Easily.
Hate this, you guys. I love Brew McCoy. I love his attitude. He was a California kid that came to Knoxville who embraced, the Vols. And I thought he would, if not got drafted, signed as an undrafted free agent. But it looks like the injury that he had a couple years ago. Did he have tightrope surgery too?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I thought he would have recovered fully, but it
Let me look
sounds
it
like
up.
he didn't. And that sucks because everything about the young man and the talent that he did have as he entered into Tennessee was great. It's just the injuries looked like they overcome him.
It was a fracture dislocation. He had 4 surgeries and spent 10 days.
Golly.
Spent 10 days in the hospital.
Yeah, that's about right. Injuries suck. I will say I'm one of the most fortunate things in my career is I didn't get injured like that. Like, 'cause get back, the mental loops that hurdles you have to go through to get back to that point, man, is bothersome, is worrisome. And for guys like him, that was a 5-star coming out of college, always been one of those types of guys, and to have that type of injury in basically your draftable year, and then last year too, the stats, they didn't justify much when it came to undrafted free agency, and he's a bigger wide receiver too with, as far as like specialties to his game, I couldn't, respectfully. He's a Tennessee legend, a guy that we know and will embrace for years to come. But there was nothing special that said, yes, why didn't he get signed? Like when he didn't get signed, like you saw it.
Yeah.
I wonder how much maybe things were uncovered through the NFL draft process about the way that ankle is healed.
I bet.
That maybe like he had no idea about.
I bet so.
And not just that, too, to your point about that pre-draft, like they knocked him on everything, I'm sure. Hey, this sucks. That right there won't do right. Can you make this move? Can you bend anymore? Like it's a tough situation.
Let's try Marcus in Nashville again. What's up, Marcus?
Man, I'm so sorry, man.
That's all right. It happens. What's up?
My boss caught me with some BS.
Oh.
But
I wish we would have heard that.
I hope he heard me say it.
Tell him you got priorities. You got bigger priorities.
Go, Marcus.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Overrated. Man, I gotta say, the NFL, since people started getting allergies. That's all I gotta say on that part. Since everybody came with gluten allergies, peanut butter allergies, and all that stuff, we don't have no good. Because if I watched the NFL when McNair and them played, that was playing, man. They was hitting it, and they really love football. But now everybody's all bougie now.
Marcus, I'm going to be real with you. I usually ride with you in these types of moments right here, Marcus. But as somebody that played in that era, it is not bougie. The clothes are. The physicality is still there. The ability and want and need to knock somebody's face off and abuse them is still very much there, man. It's just that you had to clean it up because today's athlete ain't like the 90s athlete is what I would tell you in those situations. I usually ride with you on that one, Marcus. Peanut allergies, somebody can die from that, Marcus. Come on.
Man, since the suit pants got tighter, the hits done got lighter. That's all I got to say about that.
Come on, Marcus.
Marcus, I still want to hear what you said to your boss. I mean, you could have left that on speaker.
Crazy stray bullet for Buck Rising, known tight-pantsed media member covering the National Football League.
Buck is in the middle of a workout right now.
Splitting his pants.
615-737-1045. The RKW Hypothetical series continues. What ifs around the AFC South and around the NFL about the 2025 season. We transition next to another AFC South team. Guys, what if Trevor Lawrence finally lives up to the hype with Liam Cohen as his new head coach? That's next.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay. Employee pricing at Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned, American made.
Hey, it's Will Bowling from my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. Right here in the middle of baseball season, do you sometimes feel like you are stuck in the dugout instead of in the starting lineup? Well, I want to tell you about my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center and their doctors of audiology with the most recent diagnostic equipment and combined experience of over 90 years. They're ready to tailor a hearing solution for your individual hearing needs. And from Phonak, one of the world's leading hearing device technology companies, comes a hearing aid that is specifically designed to suppress background noise and help you hear and understand conversation when there is background noise around you. So give Brentwood Hearing Center a call at 615-377-0420 or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com to learn more about the practice and how they've been treating patients for over 45 years. They will get you out of the dugout and back into the starting lineup of conversation. You'll find out what sounds you've been missing when you call Brentwood Hearing Center at 615-377-0420. That's Brentwood Hearing Center online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. Brentwood Hearing Center, better hearing, better life. What's going on? It's Will Bowling. When the heat rises outside, your home's air conditioning shouldn't let you down. The Lead Company team is here to help keep you cool and your system running at its best with award-winning AC services. And I'm here to tell you, when you need a quick repair, Maybe it's that seasonal maintenance. You're staying ahead of Mother Nature. The weather's been a little bit cooler over the past couple days. Maybe you did the right thing, right? You went ahead, you had Lead Company come out. They're taking care of your AC unit. You've got that cool air going because you're ready for the next heat wave. Maybe you just want to upgrade to a new unit. Lead Company, they will get the job done right for you. Available 24/7. Schedule your visit today. LeadCompany.com. You can call them 615-567-1000. I like working with Lead Company because they got over 80 years of experience here in Middle Tennessee. They are a trusted brand. They're members of the community with local sponsorships. You name it, they have been involved with it here in Middle Tennessee. Call them at 615-567-1000 or head online. Check them out at LeadCompany.com. That's Lead Company. All you need. RKW 104.5 The Zone, asking a lot of what ifs in the month of May here. We are fueled, as always, by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned Scooters near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Our what if of the morning here in our series of hypotheticals through this summer about the upcoming football season. What if Trevor Lawrence finally lives up to the hype? What if Liam Cohen just turns Trevor Lawrence into what Baker Mayfield was last season? And for perspective, Baker Mayfield last season, guys, I think doesn't get enough credit for how good he was. I think we know he was good. I think he was really, in reality, great. Tampa last season under Liam Cohen became the first team in NFL history to finish a season averaging 5+ yards per rush and have a completion percentage over 70%. Career highs for Baker Mayfield. 106.8 passer rating is elite.
Yeah, it is.
71.4% completion percentage is elite. 41 passing touchdowns, 4,500 passing yards, which put him in a group of 10 quarterbacks in NFL history with 4,500 plus yards and 40 plus passing touchdowns in a single season. So what if Liam Cohen does that with Trevor Lawrence this season?
What if he does that with Trevor Lawrence, man? It's funny to me looking at Trevor Lawrence's career for a lot of different reasons, because you know what's in there as far as what his talent's supposed to be, and to your point, Will, as far as like getting it out of him. What does that look like for the Jacksonville Jaguars? I still look, if we can assume that Houston is going to be what they were last year or a little bit better, I still look at the situation and say they're probably still 2 in the AFC South. I do. And it's because, can we see Trevor Lawrence make his weapons that much better? And it's not just that side of the ball, too. Defensively, for me, is they've had their struggles. I feel like at times it's putting it all together. And I know, of course, Travis Hunter being a part of this conversation has got to be something that they balance up. Are you playing him at corner more because you need the help? Or you want him as a dynamic pass catcher on offense, or weapon, whatever you want to call him. But I will say this, though. If Trevor Lawrence turns into what he's supposed to be, or what we expect him to be, I do at that point worry about like the other teams in the AFC South with the defense. Because Josh Hines, Allen being one of those guys. If Trayvon Walker is rested up and have a better rush plan, knowing that his offense has kept them on the side of the on the sideline so they can be rested up, I think that's where Jacksonville becomes a whole lot more better, as opposed to saying, yeah, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence leading them to the finish line. Because one thing you know about their defense is they have the quality of bodies over there. They did lose Andre Sisco, if I'm not mistaken, this offseason, but they ended up replacing him with a safety, Eric Murray. Sign him to a 3-year deal also. So it's going to be fascinating to see if he can do that for the sake of the defense more than anything to me. I'm more worried about the defense. De'Ami Brown is signed to a 1-year contract. You got Brian Thomas Jr., but how do you fit in Travis Hunter, too?
Offense.
I still look at him as the number 2, even with Trevor, because I don't think the team this year is what it was, because they lost some veterans. Of course, Evan Ingram gone, and then also no Christian Kirk this year.
Right. It's interesting. I think first and foremost, you say, okay, you had Trevor Lawrence last year, who the reason why he probably didn't have the numbers he should have had is because he was injured, right? And he played a little bit injured, and then they just decided, okay, we're going to sit you down, and we're going to let Mac Jones finish the season. So just to go over some numbers really quick, just to put in perspective, he played 10 games, which was the fewest in his NFL career last year. He had 2,045 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The year before, though, when he was more healthy, he had played in 16 games, 4,016 yards, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. So the one thing about Trevor that's interesting with Liam Cohen is going to be is, can he help in terms of, limiting the interceptions too and the mistakes with Trevor Lawrence, so that he's not hurting his team when he's 100% healthy. He had surgery on that AC joint, in terms of his non-throwing shoulder. So he should be good to go when the season starts. So if he is indeed ready to go, and they have added weapons in terms of the biggest one, with Travis Hunter, I think that this could be an interesting situation, because you're still looking at Houston, who I think is loaded in terms of talent and a better team defensively compared to Jacksonville. But we don't know about C.J. Stroud yet. Like, is C.J. going back to the C.J. he was his rookie year with some improved help offensively with a different coordinator? And I think that's almost what I'm looking like at, because I'm not as worried about Indy right now because I don't know their quarterback situation there. The Titans, they've got the rookie quarterback. So when I look at the two teams that have quarterbacks that we kind of know who they are right now, I'm still questioning C.J. Stroud, though. Can he be the guy that bounces back to his rookie season? So Trevor Lawrence is the one that's proven the most and the one that came in as the generational talent with Liam Cohen. I think he can introduce some things that can make Trevor better, no doubt about it, and especially when it comes to taking care of the football. But the one question is, it is the defense. Like, they're not as good as Houston when it comes to that side of the ball. But I think they could be right up there in, like, the number 2 team to start the year in terms of the AFC South.
It's a bad passing defense. Worst in the NFL last season, Jacksonville. Liam Cohen has talked about fixing Trevor Lawrence's footwork as Jacksonville opened the offseason program, saying not really a change, just tweaking. Says he's extremely talented. He's made some unbelievable plays in critical moments and led some huge comebacks. He's played hurt. Now it's just about how do we fine-tune it and tighten up a little bit to get him in a place where he's comfortable to cut the ball loose on time and in rhythm, regardless of the circumstances. Trevor Lawrence has talked about it, saying, it is more of a timing, get the ball out quickly offense within Jacksonville's system now under Liam Cohen. I think they don't get enough credit for the stable of running backs they have as well. And Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, they add Basil Tootin, the rookie running back now out of Virginia Tech, into that running back room. I think the Jags win the AFC South if Trevor Lawrence is a Baker Mayfield season. Now, that's a really high bar. I mean, 4,500 yards, 40-plus touchdowns. Like, again, only 10 quarterbacks in NFL history have done that within one season. But there is another number 1 overall pick that was kind of written off as never going to be elite, that Liam Cohen turned into elite.
Yeah.
Very true.
This past season in Baker Mayfield. And he did it with a really solid 1-2 at wide receiver. Now, granted, Tampa deeper at wide receiver when you talk about Godwin, Evans, and then McMillan, and then Brooks at running back. Like, I think Tampa has more weapons than Jacksonville. But Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, the day Travis Hunter was drafted, that became the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver in the AFC South. No question. I think Nico Collins is the best receiver in the division. I think Thomas and Hunter is the best 1-2 punch at receiver in the division.
They're going to be a good duo for sure. And here's the other thing about, Trevor Lawrence and this year in particular. I think people question, like, well, why don't you just, like, let's give up this conversation at this point? I think the reason why you continue the conversation is because the statistics, barring last year's injury, you guys, they're not really bad. I mean,
and he's 25.
And he's 25 years old. That's the other thing.
He's Michael Penix's age.
And he's a number 1 overall pick, too. So people are not going to give up this conversation quite yet because he hasn't been awful. He just hasn't done as much as he is supposed to have done at this point.
He's not lived up to the hype, but he's got 2 4,000-yard seasons, and that was after having Urban Meyer as his head coach.
And that's the other thing, too, that he's dealt with. Was his third head coach. 4 or 5 years that he's had to deal with, too, with new offenses. What they did do is also did exactly what the Titans did. They also went and got him some help, too, on the offensive line, which was another issue was there. That left guard last year was a turnstile. And not just that, the left tackle became one, too. But they ended up going to get guard Patrick McCarry, also to a 3-year deal. And also, with Mitch Morse retiring this year, too, they ended up going to get Robert Hainsey. So there should be some stability, but y'all know how that works over the first 4 games of the season. You got to work that cohesion out as it pertains to his protection. That's what he has to get to. You look at, I don't think this team is better than it was last year, considering the players that ended up leaving. But if he's a better version of himself, you may get a better production out of the defense.
That makes you a better team.
Yes, 100%.
They've tried to fix that secondary, which was very bad last year. The thing is, in this division, I don't know if this division takes advantage of a bad secondary as much as other ones. Anthony Richardson is the quarterback at Indy. Doesn't scare me. Cam Ward is a rookie here. C.J. Stroud has a new offensive coordinator that he essentially ran off because he and that offensive line wasn't very good last year. Houston's not just going to snap a finger and be good up front again. with the young tackles that they have. I mean, they downgraded from Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. He's a Washington Commander now. I just think we now need to talk about, and again, we'll have the conversation more as we continue looking around the division. I don't think the Texans are all that great. Like, I just think the Texans have the shine has worn off for me. Maybe I'm overreacting, and I'm not keeping my powder dry on how just meh C.J. Stroud was last season, because he's still got a lot of talent. I just think the bar is not really that high to, like, take over in this division. And I think, honestly, any team can do it. Like, Houston is not untouchable the way I thought they were coming into last season.
I'll push back on that one, because I know we got to talk about CJ probably tomorrow, right? Is this, though, for me, is that defense.
The defense is so good.
The defense, to me, I still feel like it's going to be one of the biggest parts. Like, they just reloaded, I feel like, is what they've done. When you look at just the outlook of that team, to maybe not rely on CJ as much because of the new offense. I still side more with Houston being one and them two.
And I do too.
Yeah.
It only in the hypothetical that Trevor Lawrence is what Baker was last season do I think the Jags win the division. I'm not going to predict it to happen, but again, it's May. These are hypotheticals. This is if A happens, what about B?
Yeah.
And I don't believe Houston is good enough to overcome a Jacksonville team that has elite quarterback play, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, they if Trevor turns into that guy, and here's the other thing too, it's so weird with their optics down there that it's probably going to end up being good. Like, with how they talk in the media so far, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to be weird, like, be good, like, I feel like that's what they have to do this year. But where are they getting their yards from? Do you trust Ayami Brown, who they signed this offseason to?
I trust Brian Thomas Jr. and I trust Travis Hunter.
And Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
All right, that's where they're going to get.
Did they add another back?
Did they add
Basil
another
Tootin,
back?
I mentioned that
Basil
earlier.
Tootin, yeah.
Rookie out of Virginia
Which
Tech.
I really like him too.
They've poured in also into some tight ends.
But let's remember last year with the Titans too. The excitement of a new head coach doesn't always bring the smoothness that first year of a new head coach, right? And that's the thing you have to see out of Liam Cohen too. Like, there is a lot more responsibility put on your plate and a lot more juggling of roles. That it's not just about the quarterback, right? We saw that with Brian Callahan last year. That was the goal, to develop the quarterback. You don't have to develop Trevor, but you need to make him better. So that's always the part of hesitation. The hesitation I have with a new head coach too is you've never done it before.
If there was ever a year quarterback, a coach to do it for me, it would have to be Liam Cohen. But that's what I also thought about Doug Peterson, too, and stability he was supposed to have.
Yeah, they added 2 running backs to the draft, too. We're going to talk AFC South drafts with Rhett Bryan coming up in the next hour. But LaQuint Allen of Syracuse also added.
Yeah.
Bigger guy, can be more of a special teamer as well.
As we're speaking about the what-ifs, the hypotheticals with Trevor Lawrence, you got to almost sit back and look at their situation as a franchise, too. Are some franchises, man, just meant to be bad? Like, because I look at that and say the best that Jacksonville had was going to New England, getting absolutely roasted by the Patriots in a year that everybody knew that they had paid a boatload of money and had a stud of a team, too. Like, I viewed them in that situation, although when they first came into the league, they were one of those types.
Yeah, right. As an expansion franchise, they were immediately competitive. They were excellent.
And once very defensively potent, right?
Yeah.
Like, we thought of the Jags as defensive team.
Frisky is what you would call that type of team. And then you look at them and their history that they have of the Fred Taylors, right? The John Hendersons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now here they are with their new GM and head coach, like, really salivating over what Travis Hunter means to football. Like, you can't have your identity solely stuck on one person like that.
Be your GM making weird quotes.
Yeah.
That's your identity as a team.
Oh, and it sucks to throw that out there, but that's a question you have to say, like, what if they just never get over the hump no matter who is their guy?
And I think that's certainly within the realm of possibility as well.
It's a weird organization.
They are good at ruining good football players.
As of late. There was some dogs that came out of Jacksonville in the early 2000s.
Back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Easily.
They had a really good run. Byron Leftwich in the middle of that. I mean, they were a legit team.
Yeah.
They have not been that for a long time.
A defense with Big John. I mean, that was a spot to be at. Jacksonville was a place, like.
And I think they thought when they got their quarterback, guys, in Trevor Lawrence as a generational talent, again, that's what he was referred to, that they would maybe switch over to also having that offensive identity, finding your quarterback that can change an organization. and it just hasn't done it yet.
But here's the other part, though, too, as far as the quarterback goes. They've had some guys. They've had some high draft picks. I'm looking at, like, Byron Leftwich, of course, started off. Mark Brunell behind him. David Garrard had a nice run.
Blake Bortles played in an AFC championship game.
Oh.
What a wild sentence.
Oh.
Started an AFC championship game.
That's what I'm saying. And they've had high draft picks that just.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why
bad.
the conversation about, like, everybody's choosing from the same menu, no, I don't know if the evaluation of what quality of steak they're eating. They're probably just eating choice.
I still think there is time for Trevor Lawrence to live up to his potential because, yes, he's a second contract quarterback, but he started his NFL career at 22 years old with Urban Meyer as his head coach. It's crazy. I mean, the amount of prospects we talk about coming out of the draft who are in their mid-20s. Trevor Lawrence today is 25 years old.
That's wild to me.
He's how many years in? 6, 5? 5?
No, he's year 5 this year.
Year 5 this year.
Year 5 this year. Yep.
He's the same
nuts.
age.
Yep. He is the he is like the Dak Prescott level though, where he's such in the middle of the pack right now as he currently is.
Yeah.
That it's the worst case scenario for a team because he's just good enough to get an extension and continue to be your starter, but just bad enough to where you're not elite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how quickly Liam Cohen can get him or how closely Liam Cohen can get him to his potential or the elite level.
Real quick. Yep, to that same point. Somebody had a comment in our chat. I was talking to somebody else and said, Dominic, a franchise quarterback can change everything. It hadn't changed anything for Jacksonville.
It's true.
No, it hasn't.
They're the
That's
same
not
team.
true.
One playoff run in the last.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I look at that
4 years.
situation and say, that's not true.
It can change everything. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed to. Baker Mayfield did not change everything for Cleveland, even though he has for Tampa.
Trey, I mean, we can go down the list.
And heck, I mean, Baker didn't even
You know?
change everything for Tampa. Baker went to a winning franchise and continued to win on a winning team.
So is the development of the franchise, like, do you develop a franchise quarterback? That's the question.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
You drafting the guy is just step one in a very long process of being relevant in the NFL.
That's what I'm going to say. The pick means nothing, really. At this point, Trevor Lawrence means a lot, but, like, Jacksonville is still bottom tier at this point.
Yeah. The clock starts on setting up that guy for success. You can ruin them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Marcus Mariota did not change everything for the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill helped change everything for the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry changed everything for the Titans. 615-737-1045 as hour number 2 continues. Again, Rhett Bryan coming up at 8. Mike Borgonzi coming up this morning at 9 o'clock. There is someone suing in college sports, a college, or not a college program, but there is a fan suing the NFL for $100 million, and the reasons are absolutely hysterical. We'll talk about that next.
It's Ramon Foster for Two Rivers Ford. Man, I've got a huge announcement from Two Rivers Ford. Man, Two Rivers Ford is now offering employee pricing for everyone. That means you pay what they pay on almost every new Ford on the lot. And at Two Rivers Ford, what you see is always what you get. They don't do things like add expensive accessories or tack on service packages to increase the price of the vehicle. No, absolutely not. Two Rivers Ford is upfront and honest every single time. And now they're offering you employee pricing. There's no better time to buy American. There's no better dealership than Two Rivers Ford. They're locally owned and operated for over 40 years and home to the non-commissioned sales team also. And now home to employee pricing for everyone. From America, for America. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
So when I tell you what one football fan is suing the NFL $100 million for, you're just going to hear collective groans around the city of Nashville. RKW, fueled by Scooters Coffee. Wrap it up, hour number 2. Visit a locally owned location near you, Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. So in a lawsuit obtained by MSNBC, there is a football fan suing the NFL $100 million because of Shadore Sanders' draft slide. This is wild to me. So he says he is a dedicated fan of Colorado and that he closely followed Shadore over the last 2 college football seasons. The plaintiff claims that the reports and, quote, leaked statements suggesting that Sanders tanked interviews, wasn't prepared, was too cocky in the pre-draft process, helped create a narrative that unjustly harmed his reputation. He wants a formal acknowledgement from the NFL regarding the emotional distress caused by their actions and statements, a retraction for the slanderous statements made about Shadore Sanders, along with an apology for any harm caused to his reputation, implementation of fairer practices in the drafting process, ensuring that talented players are recognized, and any additional remedies the court deems appropriate, including compensatory damages. $100 million the NFL's on the hook for because a fan has emotional distress over Shadore's slide.
It's like, is John Doe Deion Sanders, like, in this situation? Or is he Mel Kiper? Bingo, Will. I mean, it is so crazy. I can see, like, Shadore Sanders being the one that puts this out there because he feels like his name was slandered. But a fan, like, how does that directly, I know emotionally might have impacted this person,
man,
but my goodness, you're not Shadore.
Man, Jay-Z said it years ago, you can't even sneeze on somebody and they'll sue you. So this is just a telltale sign of it right now. You can file on any behalf that you have, the emotional stress of anything. This is foolish. This has got to be done by a comedian or an influencer. Like, you're not that hurt. There are way more pressing issues in the world than to be suing for emotional stress of Shadore not being drafted. And the other part of it is, too, Shadore's a public figure. Mm-hmm. The people who were discussing him could probably back that up. And, like, this is a silly situation right here. Although I think it's quite funny, too. This is pretty wild.
$100 million emotional distress.
$100 million.
I can't imagine. But to that same point, this is why somebody said earlier the draft is overhyped. This is why the draft isn't NFL draft isn't overhyped. People get invested into this stuff, man. Listen, Shadore's a big boy. They'll be all right, man. There's been worse said about other players.
That's the thing about this, guys, is I know we talked about it a lot in terms of Shadore Sanders, but mostly because he was possibly going to be a quarterback on the Titans' radar, right?
Yeah.
But the fall of Shadore Sanders made the ratings go up because it was drama, right? And it was all the, unfortunately, some of the negative stuff, because we weren't talking about some of these guys that went before him and Jalen Milroe going early to the Seahawks. And we weren't talking about, oh, that's crazy. We didn't expect that. We're talking about the downfall of someone, unfortunately. That brought the headlines.
If we're suing for teams that have called us emotional distress, I'm going to spend all my money on lawyer fees for a long time.
And that's the other thing. You got to pay a lawyer.
The NFL, I think they have to respond to it, or else they'll rule in this guy's favor, or whoever John Doe is, they'll rule in his favor. But this is...
I don't know if the NFL has to respond to it.
They have to in a lawsuit. It will in a sense.
Publicly,
Yeah, not publicly. No, privately. They got to respond to it. But here's the thing that Buddy got to deal with. What if what was said about Shadore was true? Mm-hmm. Right?
I think it was, too.
These folks right here, man. But that's what also, this is also the bigger conversation of what Dylan Gabriel's going to have to go through.
Yeah, I think sometimes we're not talking about that
enough. The reason I side-eye what Cleveland did if you knew you wanted Shadore and he was probably a better prospect than Dylan Gabriel, you should have took him earlier.
Yep.
This is the noise that comes along right here that locker rooms don't want to deal with.
If I'm Dylan Gabriel, I would already want out.
Me too.
I mean, it's already Cleveland. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're going to live in a place people want to be.
Almost spit up. I legitimately almost had to move. I had to move away from the
true.
mic.
Like At least if you were going to L.A. and you were joining with Shadore Sanders there, like, oh, let me go get a nice beach house in Malibu. I'll have a good time. I'll make the most of it. Nah, buddy, you're going to Cleveland.
Get your snow boots ready.
Going to Cleveland, dude.
The gloomiest, rainiest, windiest, worst city in the National Football League.
The most unclutched basketball team right now.
Yeah, down 2-0.
I know. They need Darius bad.
I don't know. No, they had the game, Kayla.
Tyrese Halliburton just hit one of the craziest shots last night. Look at me knowing NBA stuff. Tyrese Halliburton had a bucket last night with a second and a half left.
It wasn't even that. It was other plays over the course of the game. They didn't block out on free throws numerous times. They had a putback put in on them. It was by far one of the silliest crumbles I've ever seen. At this point, Indiana deserves to sweep them. This, to me, they got bodied in that game, man. They let them go on runs. How you let Tyrese Halliburton get a free throw rebound, dribble it out, you don't do anything, and then let him break you down and pull up?
I'm sure his dad was going crazy.
Oh, my God.
He's trending on my Twitter, so if he's trending on my Twitter, it's not good.
Well, who does he have to play for again, Dylan Gabriel? Cleveland.
You just love it when someone else besides you goes in on Cleveland on this show.
Listen, I like the players. What they do as a team sometimes is very questionable.
Flagrant.
Well, specifically what they do to quarterbacks. That is a quarterback graveyard.
You know the jersey that starts with Tim Couch back in the day?
Yeah.
They got 2 more quarterbacks to add to it for the hell of it.
2 in 1 year?
Yeah.
2 in 1 year. And
unsurprised, by the way, too, that Shadore will wear number 12, like his mentor Tom Brady.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure that comparison will never be made.
Never get
over the next couple of years.
He has to be 2 on the depth chart.
Shadore?
Has to.
I mean, if the locker room has their way, he's number 1 on the depth chart.
You ain't ever had nobody sue for you for $100 million.
Nor should they.
Technically.
What have I ever done that's worth $100 million?
Technically, his valuation this year is higher than Joe Flacco at this point.
My lovely fiance would like to sue some callers and tweeters that are mean to me, maybe for like $100.
Mean to me.
But I don't know about $100 million. I ain't worth that.
Hey,
I ain't worth half that.
$100 million.
Coming up, Rhett, Bryan at Titans Radio will join us. We'll take a look at the Titans rookie minicamp storylines, what Rhett hopes to learn from the Titans rookie minicamp this upcoming weekend. Plus, Rhett's going to help us go around the AFC South, all the prep, all of the research from the Coach Dave McGinnis board of drafting this past season. We're going to go around the AFC South, the different draft classes in the division with Rhett coming up in hour 3. Again, Titans GM Mike Borgonzi joins the show in a little over an hour at 9 o'clock. Don't miss it as hour 3 begins next.
It's Ramon. My voice is cracking again. It's Ramon for Secure Lawn. Good people, man. I've talked to you guys about having your yard ready. And if you're like me, you obsessively care about it, and your spouse and your friends tell you that you talk about your grass more than anything else, then you probably, one, got a problem, but you also probably have Secure Lawn as the people that take care of your grass, man. My guy John cut it yesterday, and let me tell you this. The way him and Secure Lawn are working hand in hand as far as the way they treat my yard is amazing. The only reason I bring it up is because Secure Lawn, they don't cut, they don't trim bushes. They simply provide your yard with the stuff that it needs to keep those weeds away, to keep it thicker, to keep it greener, to keep it healthy, so that you can just frolic in the backyard if you want to, man. And again, they're one of the best companies around. They're family-owned and operated and local. They've been serving Middle Tennessee for over 20 years. Cool thing about them, too, they're punctual and a quick response time. If you need your yard treated the way I have, man, and they protect all types of grass, too, and they service residential, commercial, and even athletic fields, man, go ahead and get a head start and reach out to them. The number is 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
It is 8:01 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Breaking NFL news this morning. Per multiple sources, the Dallas Cowboys are trading for Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver George Pickens. The Cowboys are sending a 2026 third-round pick as well as a 2027 fifth-round pick in exchange for Pickens and a 2027 sixth-round pick. The Cowboys get their wide receiver 2 to pair with CeeDee Lamb, and Pickens is entering the last year of his contract. Nashville SC is moving on to the round of 16 in the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Nashville last night beat the Chattanooga Red Wolves 1-0 at Geodis Park in the round of 32 as defenseman Josh Bauer's goal in the 18th minute became the difference. Former Tennessee Vols, in case you missed it, wide receiver Brew McCoy took to social media last night announcing his decision to medically retire from football. McCoy went undrafted in the NFL a couple weeks ago and mentioned it was the right path for his long-term health and well-being. And reminder, in 1 hour, make sure you tune in at 9 a.m. as the Tennessee Titans general manager Mike Borgonzi joins the show to talk your local professional football team. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW brewed by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone, locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Into the second half of the show, amazingly quickly this morning. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling, joined by the executive producer of Titans Radio, the one and only Rhett Bryan.
Hour three.
Hour number 3. Appreciate you making it work for us this week with the GM Mike Borgonzi.
The GM's on deck in the 9 o'clock hour. Like, he's the big guy. I'm just a guy here in the surface. You know,
we just extras in a movie. Red at this.
We
point.
are just. I'm not
We're
the main
NPCs
character
in the video game.
I'm not the main. I might be a longtime bit actor in this series.
You're like the pump up man, like Ron Slay was though for Buck's show though.
Yeah, the hype guy.
The hype guy. MC.
Yeah.
Except when Ron Slay does that, he is the event. And Rhett Bryan also the event. So that's a great way to compare it as well.
There we go.
May I do a little public service announcement before we get started? Service announcement. So, my youngest niece is a junior in high school in Rutherford County at Eagleville High School. She's the manager of the football team there. I'm very proud of her. She has a classmate who is in the top 7 of season 3 of 23 of American Idol.
Oh, what? Wow.
Yeah, Maddie Pruitt. Maddie Pruitt is a sophomore there, and she just made top 7 Monday night.
Whoa.
So she's in the final stretch of this thing, and I have been asked by my niece, please ask everyone in Middle Tennessee to vote for Maddie because they want to get her into top 3 so that they can have a big welcome home parade, the whole deal. I'm going to send out a tweet or two about this so you can see what number and what you need to do to text vote. You can vote up to 10 times, but really cool. Like she actually got saved Monday night by Lionel Richie and Luke Bryan to stay in the top 7. And then they get down to the top 3 next week and then the finale the week after. So
very cool.
Big deal. And man, this young lady, she's got quite the voice, very smoky, got a rasp to her voice.
Love it.
She's going to do some things. She's the youngest contestant in the whole deal too.
So how old again, Rick?
She just turned 16.
Just turned.
She just turned 16.
Congratulations! I'm pretty close to the site right now.
But a Middle Tennessee native here is trying to make it to the big time, and she's made some impressions now.
I love the return of American Idol being an event again. That is one thing I grew up on, and that was appointment television for our family.
Yeah.
Every single week was tuning into American Idol, and I feel like it's getting back to how big of a deal that it was.
And think about it. I mean, for a while, for many, many years in its first years of emanation, every season over season was on Fox.
Yeah, right.
And then it was about to go away, and ABC got the rights to that and have, breathed new life into it several years ago. And this is the first year I think Carrie Underwood is the judge because Katy Perry was with Luke and Lionel for several years and then dipped out.
Sure.
But anyway, so very cool that this young lady is trying to chase a dream, and only in America.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Very cool. Shout out Eagleville.
I'll have to ask my mom. She's a dedicated watcher, so
They still
I'll
have
say
on
go
here
vote, Mom.
15, man. That's nuts.
That's
Very
really
cool.
neat.
That is pretty cool.
Rhett, Bryan in studio with us here in hour number 3. Titans rookie minicamp coming up this weekend, Rhett. What do you hope to learn, and what are you most excited to watch this upcoming weekend?
Well, I think it starts with the quarterback, Cameron Ward. I mean, you want to see him deal, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to see him deal to a couple of the rookie receivers that have been drafted, and Chimere Dike and Elikiah Manor. But I'm telling you, and I mentioned this earlier this morning because sometimes I'll pop in here. Y'all on Zone TV, you don't see me, but I'll pop in here and we'll chat for a minute, especially after George Pickens getting traded to the Cowboys.
Yeah,
That's
right.
something. But Marcus Harris, the pick that they made late in day 3, the cornerback from Cal, has a very interesting story. I read a great piece on him that someone wrote in the Oregonian a few days ago. You know, he's one of these guys. Same thing with like the COVID pandemic. 7 years, 3 different schools. I mean, he didn't have a ton of offers, and started at Oregon State, then went to Idaho and was a Vandal, and then came to Cal Berkeley and had a great final year in college. And you just look at the numbers. I mean, he's got 200 tackles, 8 interceptions. I think he's got 42 pass breakups. So there's something. He's around the football a lot. And they chronicle a part in this where his coach was like, this guy's got, like, he didn't run burner speed at the combine. He had a 4.51, I think, or 4.41, and ran a 4.38 at his pro day. Yeah. He ran down Anthony Gould at Oregon State.
Wow. Yeah.
When they were in high school.
Yeah.
Anthony Gould, of course, Colts, and he's a burner. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that and some of the day 3 prospects and Kalel Mullings, that's not a running back the Titans had before. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
All of those guys are kind of the same. Julius Chestnut is the bigger back, but this guy's, just under 6'2" and in the low 230s, and was a converted linebacker. He's kind of the thumper piece to this.
Chad Reuter, isn't how you say his name, on NFL Network has his top 15 day 3 picks that can see starter reps. It's 2 Titans on that list.
Yeah.
Gunnar Helm, and number 14 on that list is Marcus Harris. He's got them as guys. It's not the only list I've seen Marcus Harris be on, either from national writers that put this type of content out. Rhett, I don't think it's hidden as much as we think it is. We hadn't talked about him a lot here, but he is, to your point, a known commodity as far as his play goes.
Go back and look at it. Cal had a great year. That defense was something. They had 3 defensive backs taken in this draft.
It's really good.
And I think they had a 4th defensive player taken or was a preferred free agent. But, Noel Williams was his running mate there on the other side at the other cornerback spot. And, Gunnar Helm is the other thing that I think, in talking to, listen to what Mike Borgonzi says if you ask him about Gunnar Helm, because massive wing radius, a wing at almost 80 inches, huge catch radius, a red zone target. And you're talking about a guy that, if you remember, when he ran with the tight ends, he popped his ankle and he kept doing the testing.
Did. Yep.
That's the kind of stuff that gets you on people's radar coaching. It's like, okay, dude can.
Yeah.
Is it a bruise or a callus? He's a callus guy.
Right.
For sure.
I'm looking at this article you mentioned in the Oregonian about Marcus Harris, too. Ran a 10.7.900 in high school.
In high school. And look at his 200
and
meter.
22.15 in the 200, which is equally excellent. That is a track state, obviously. The state of Oregon that has got excellent track and field from the high school level to the college level, but said colleges were not clamoring for his services because they thought he was on the small side. Said he was raw, but he had the it factor. You need a play to be made. Marcus will make the play, and he was just an outstanding character guy. You wanted to be around him. He had that charisma. That sounds to me like the DNA of what Mike Borgonzi, what Chad Brinker wants a Tennessee Titan to be. physical ability that comes with high character and high football IQ traits and things like that.
Well, and when you look at this secondary, because we don't know where L'Jarius Sneed is right now in health. He should be back to where he needs to be. But I think that's the reason Chad Reuter from NFL.com had mentioned him, just because that is also a possibility. That factors into why he's in that list.
Yeah, it's got in here. Any injuries or inconsistent play from Tennessee starting cornerbacks could force coaches to put Harris' instincts, wiry strength, and quickness on the field.
And see, that who that puts the onus on is my draft crush of a year ago in Jarvis Brownlee.
Mm-hmm.
Jarvis has got to turn up the heat.
Big old year for him.
And the thing is, I fully believe he will.
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy.
No doubt. But it's good to even have this conversation where you might have competition at that position, Rhett, to whereas where did Kansas City find L'Jarius Sneed? It was a later round pick, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I think like fourth or
that's
It was a fourth rounder, if I'm not mistaken.
These are the types of players right here that gives you a long, extended job in the NFL, finding these types of guys. Like, you're right, we hadn't talked a whole lot about Marcus Harris, but the secondary on this team has some questions, and also at a point to where you might have to start transitioning out, either because of injuries or the contract with L'Jarius, or looking at the idea of like Amani Hooker and like where's the succession plan for guys like him and others to get this young group in.
So let's go ahead and roll into our next conversation about the AFC South draft classes as we continue with Rhett Bryan here this morning. And we'll talk more, obviously, with Mike Borgonzi coming up at 9 o'clock about all of that and the new rookies and things like that at rookie minicamp. So, Rhett, when you look around the division at the AFC South, the different classes, where do you want to begin here, looking at these different halls? Because some different strategies on a way to build teams through all of this.
Well, let's look at the division winner in the Houston Texans. So just a snapshot that includes the draft. So they signed Daniil Hunter, Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie, 2 extensions. They added Christian Kirk, left tackle Cam Robinson, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and linebacker E.J. Speed from, stole him into the division, within the division from Indianapolis, which I'm not crazy about. I don't like that.
Right.
They lost Laramie Tunsil. They sent him in a trade, Stephon Diggs, Kenyon Green. They drafted both Iowa State wide receivers to help out their quarterback and to help Nico Collins, and Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, which both were nice prospects. Saw both of those guys at the Senior Bowl. And then what I thought was interesting is they didn't try to chase a tackle near the top. They went, I think, with their second pick with Ariante Ursary from Minnesota, who is a mammoth human being, big guy. And then they added some depth and some strength to the secondary with Jalen Smith, a corner from Southern Cal. I think the other thing that I find interesting in this is they went ahead and added another running back in Woody Marks, the former Mississippi State Bulldog that's finished his career at Southern Cal, 5'10", 207. And then they took our guy, Kevin Winston Jr. at Penn State. They took his running mate and his actual successor because of injury, and Jalen Reed, the safety from Penn State, in the 5th round. Luke Lachey, the tight end from Iowa, that's a sleeper pick right
tight
there.
ends.
Yep,
That's a sleeper pick. And not just because of Iowa tight ends. Like, as Mac would say, he's not an empty chair.
No.
And then their last pick was Graham Mertz, the quarterback from Florida. Kind of interesting there.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
But they loaded up on weapons to help Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud. I think it also speaks to just exactly how bad that injury to Tank Dell. I mean, because it's pretty clear he's not playing in 2025. And that was, it may be a question as to whether he plays again, period.
And I think, Rhett, you had to do that if you were Houston, because we saw the regression of C.J. Stroud last year. And he elevated so much of that team that first year he was there, and it kind of went backwards because of him, but more so because of the line, and you had the injuries. So it's almost like they were like, here, we're going to give you all of this plus a new coordinator to try to get you back to where you were.
Well, the one thing, now, both of those guys are good athletes in both of the Iowa State receivers. But now the one thing they don't have with Tank Dell, that's speed. Speed.
Yeah.
That's a reason that the Titans took Chimere DK in one of the main reasons, because he's a 4.37 at the combine or something like that. But yeah, and just looking at that, part of it too, the line is such a huge issue.
Yeah.
And you saw how they've moved some parts around there. And I think Ariante Ursery is probably the successor in this, and Cam Robinson is the bridge. Get ready, and then if he's not ready by week 2 or 3, maybe he's ready by week 4, and they put him. Also depends on what happens and whether they keep C.J. Stroud upright. The other part of it with C.J. Stroud is defenses make adjustments.
Yep.
And you have to make the counter adjustment. And,
for sure.
Was that a sophomore slump, or is this more to this? Okay, I'd be lying if I said, let's hope there's more to this, because we want the Titans to do well.
Exactly.
Say how you feel.
But, yeah. So, but I would start with them, and then we'll just go in alphabetical order. Let's go to the Indianapolis Colts.
Perfect.
So they were able to extend tight end Mo Alley-Cox and their tackle Braden Smith. They added Charvarius Ward in the secondary, Cam Bynum at safety, and obviously quarterback Daniel Jones. And I believe Daniel Jones, that was a 1-year deal, wasn't
Correct.
it? Yeah.
Yep.
So Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, 2 major cogs in their offensive line, both go to Minnesota. Deo Odangbo leaves in free agency. E.J. Speed, we just mentioned, goes to Houston. And Joe Flacco is no longer on the roster. So what do they do to help whoever is the quarterback, whether it's AR or whether it's Daniel Jones? With their top pick, they take Tyler Warren. And you remember my face that night. I'm like, we got to see that dude twice.
Twice. That's what you said. That's exactly what you said.
And I don't
So
like
good.
No, I don't like
it felt like
that.
through the process, they were one of the teams that, and obviously they'll say it after the fact because he's their player now, they were one of the teams who liked him over Colston Loveland. They had been tied to Tyler Warren in the draft process from the very beginning.
Colston Loveland, I think he doesn't get a lot of Loveland and the point of some of the physicality to his game. And that's why I think Tyler Warren may have been the more attractive. He's a more gritty, physical guy. Sure. And Loveland has more of the physical Lamborghini, sexy.
Reminds me of Kittle.
Yeah.
A Kittle. Okay. Yeah. Sure. That's the way I look at it, the way they're going to use
Tyler Warren, he plays like Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah. Yes.
Remember how nasty Shockey was?
Yep.
Absolutely. He plays like that. Not that he's that. And then they took JT Tuimoloau, the edge rusher from Ohio State, and I'd hate that twice a year.
Yeah.
I hate it.
On top of Leatu. Did you just say that? Leatu from last year? Yeah.
2 Big Ten guys.
And thing about JT is...
Crazy.
First of all, it's not JTT. JT is just his initials, and then he uses his last name. Yeah. So Jalen, I think, is his given first name. But look at what he did in the college football playoffs.
Solid.
6.5 quarterback sacks, I think 10 pressures. I mean, he was one of the big reasons why they seized the trophy.
Getting out of
But anyway, and then cornerback Justin Wally from Minnesota in round 3. They took a tackle, but waited until the 4th round and took Jalen Travis from Iowa State. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a mammoth dude.
6'8",
but you wait until 4th round knowing you've got some issues there on the line. The other thing I hate is DJ Giddens from Kansas State in round 5.
Yeah.
Don't like that twice a year at all because he's actually a nice back. And then they took quarterback Riley Leonard from Notre Dame in 6. Defensive tackle Tim Smith from Alabama in 6. That's a value pick.
It is a value.
And then a guy we also saw at the Senior Bowl, Hunter Wohler, the safety from Wisconsin, with their last pick. But I'm surprised that they waited till round 4 to take a tackle. But they helped on offense with that first pick and Tyler Warren, and then obviously edge pass rushing with the guy from Ohio State.
It is interesting, Rhett, how, and looking at all 3 of these teams, and we'll get to Jacksonville after our break, but every team in the AFC South has big holes to fill on the offensive line this season. That's not been the case the last couple of years. Indy has had the best offensive line of this division for a couple of years now. They've got bodies that are gone. Jacksonville, we'll talk about in a minute, have got 2 new interior guys who have been signed to help Trevor Lawrence. And then obviously Houston. I mean, C.J. Stroud got sacked 52 times last year. It is a good time to invest in your pass rush and invest in the ability to get younger and more dynamic up front against some younger, more inexperienced offensive linemen, not just this year, but for the next couple of years in this division as teams build these lines back up again.
Yeah, and look, that's the way that any GM worth his salt is going to tell you, build it from the trenches out to the second and third levels.
For sure.
It's just a slow road to get there. And
it is.
sucks.
Because it's not like there's 7-on-7 for linemen.
Yeah.
It's all about the skill positions.
Let's continue the conversation with Rhett, Bryan, when we come back. 615-737-1045. Going through AFC South NFL draft halls with the executive producer of Titans Radio in studio. More after this.
Living in Nashville, we all enjoy it. There's a lot going on here. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, and you don't want that to be the case when it comes to trusting a real estate agent. That's why you need to check out my friend Bernie Gallerani. Bernie Gallerani, he comes with years of experience. He's going to know the neighborhoods and care about your buying or selling needs. In fact, Bernie guarantees to sell your home in 30 days or less, or he's just going to buy it from you. Finding the right home, if you've gone through the process, you know it takes time. And for Charisse, that meant 6 months of searching for her perfect place. That's where Bernie Gallerani Real Estate made all the difference from day one. The team was patient, answered every question, making the entire process smooth and stress-free. So when Charisse was ready to buy, they found her perfect home. Bernie is the only real estate agent in Nashville, recommended by Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank. And you can give him a call today on his cell phone, in fact, at 615-428-2644. That's 615-428-2644. Or go to BernieGallerani.com.
RKW 104.5 The Zone in the third quarter of your Wednesday morning. We are brewed by Scooters Coffee, locally owned and near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. In a half hour, we will be joined by Tennessee Titans General Manager Mike Borgonzi. Looking forward to that. That's right. You ever play Yahtzee growing up?
Yep.
That's what I hear every time you say
single
Borgonzi.
Yahtzee. Borgonzi. I love it.
Mike's been a busy man.
Yeah, he absolutely has, no doubt. The Jacksonville Jaguars draft haul. Certainly well documented, Rhett, with Travis Hunter at the top. But they had a lot of picks between rounds 3 and 4. 4 picks between 88 and 107 based on the trade back that they made, or the trade up that they made for Travis Hunter.
Yeah, and so let's start with what their offseason began like. So Cole Van Lanen, one of their tackles they kept. You mentioned some in the previous segment, a tease there, well set up tease by you. And 2 interior linemen that they added in free agency, Robert Hainsey, the center, and then Patrick McCarry. He was the Baltimore Raven, right?
Yeah, he had played there for a spell. Yeah.
They really like De'Ami Brown, and so they bring De'Ami Brown in at wide receiver. They bring in safety Eric Murray and cornerback Jordan Lewis. They end up getting rid of Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and it's interesting because those were 2 great big, first day free agency splash.
Christian Kirk reset the wide receiver market.
He sure did.
Yeah.
He sure did. And Evan Ingram didn't. He made quite a bit of money there in his time there as well. Yeah. Andre Cisco is out. Luke Farrell's out. And obviously Mac Jones at backup quarterback. So they take one of the 2 blue chip prospects in this draft in Travis Hunter. And that really sucks for the Titans because
it does.
Again, twice a year. And I'm interested to see how Liam Cohen uses this guy in the offense to help the quarterback, to help Trevor Lawrence. I was very interested that they took Caleb Ransaw, the corner from Tulane, with their second-round pick. In fact, I need to look at the old Mac Rhett board and look and see where we had him. Because we had Caleb Ransaw. Yeah, we had him as a day 3 pick.
And he went 88th overall when they had back-to-back picks, 88 and 89.
Pretty wild.
Wyatt Milam.
But they really liked him. So Wyatt Milam, West Virginia, and that's a guy that I think you think he moves inside.
He easily moves inside.
Played tackle, but moves inside.
Looking at him at the Senior Bowl, you see his ability too. Although I will say he did get worked at guard, but it's the transition from guard from tackle to guard it's a learning curve for sure.
The interesting thing in this is that they ended up taking 2 running backs in day 3 when they already have Trevor Etienne and they already have Tank Bigsby. And so with one of those 4th-round picks, they took Bashal Tootin, the running back from Virginia Tech. Now, Mac really liked this guy, and I can understand why, because explosion. He tested off the charts at the combine. 4.3, 240. A 39 or 40-inch vert, 10-10 broad, good short shuttle, and he brings some explosion in this to that offense. Then with their other 4th-round pick, they take linebacker Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame, a nice prospect there.
Yeah. He showed up at the Senior Bowl also. I think he was one of the few linebackers that ended up getting a pick out there in practice. He was good in space.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they went back-to-back linebackers with picks because in round 6, they took Jalen McLeod, the linebacker from Auburn. And then Rayon Lane, cornerback from Navy. And I think this is interesting how they just went defense, three picks in a row right there. And then they went with Jonah Monheim.
Interesting
from
prospect.
Southern Cal, and a value pick in round 7 because he's a guy that I think is a center at this level. Yes. And I think that's a way that you have a depth piece right there that could eventually maybe start for you. And then LaQuint Allen, the other running back they took with their second 7th-round pick, the running back from Syracuse. Really liked LaQuint Allen. Mm-hmm. And clearly they see something in there with him. He has special teams value, but he had a nice year for the Orange. Mm-hmm. He really did. But I just find it funny that they have a covey of running backs in this thing with who they've got. I don't know how many backs they keep, but somebody's the odd man out.
But this is also the year that Etienne, his 5th-year option is picked up. Yep. So he's on the roster. Tank, I'd expect, would be on the roster too. So you're right. It's going to be fascinating to see what they do with who they keep, man.
And the question remains with these guys is, does Trevor Lawrence, does he become the guy?
Yeah.
Like, he's had his issues. And if he becomes the guy, I mean, that becomes problematic for everybody in the AFC South.
It does.
I mean, I don't know what the disconnect is outside of some offensive line issues, because he's had weapons.
He has had weapons.
But if the light bulb ever fully comes on with them, that's trouble.
Yes, it
It really is.
That was our segment we did earlier this morning, about an hour ago. Like, the hypothetical of if Trevor Lawrence has a Baker Mayfield-like renaissance with Liam Cohen's help. I mean, Baker Mayfield, one of 10 NFL quarterbacks last season with 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns in NFL history with just one season of Liam Cohen, albeit the cupboard was not bare that he inherited in Tampa that had some weapons to throw to. But the cupboard's not bare in Jacksonville either when you have Brian Thomas Jr. and you have Travis Hunter.
And, that's going to be the dynamic to watch in the coming years with James Gladstone as their wonderkind general manager who, well, I mean, he's 35 years old.
He looks young.
He looks like
you're
he's
a
like
GM
20.
of an NFL team?
Absolutely.
Imagine
You're
if Buck
doing
Rising
something
was your
right.
general
Liam
manager. That's
Cohen's young,
essentially
too.
what they have.
He's young, too.
Right. And that was also a weird thing. He wanted to be the head coach, but only if they got rid of Trent Baalke, the previous GM,
held him hostage.
and then had verbally agreed to an extension with the Bucs to be their OC for another 2-3 years. And it's like, oh, you fired him. Okay. Like Shad Khan said, you know what? We want you, Trent. See you later.
Right.
I mean, that was wild.
With Gladstone, too, I know you probably heard the introduction of Travis Hunter, the Chat GPA intro. Bizarre within its own right. I don't know, Moan, if you were here that day, but it is weird.
I don't know if he was talking about a charcuterie board or a football player. It was very strange to me, but hey,
and to make him like Travis Hunter, like the only person who's ever in college played both sides of the ball. Like I know he's like a prospect that they believe that much in to trade up to get him, but he's also not the first one to play two sides of the ball in college.
His tone and timbre was more that he was a unicorn.
Yeah.
And look, in today's football, he probably is. Because, I mean, you play, what did he have, 104 snaps a game he averaged, last year at Colorado?
Right.
But you're right. Back in the old days, before guys were getting, they had to work jobs in the offseason because they weren't getting paid like this. They were working, selling insurance, selling cars. Chuck Bednarik had a concrete business, Concrete Charlie, the Eagles great. But a lot of guys played both ways. Like, James, just an FYI for you, back in the old days with leather helmets and stuff, like, guys actually died playing football. I don't know if you know this or not. But, I mean, there's a whole lot of history there. But just, And listen, I understand being pumped about your guy because that is a huge get for them. That is, I mean, and to jockey up and trade with Cleveland to make it happen.
Right.
Or make a statement. That's
you
for
absolutely do. And that's a guy that can be a weapon for Trevor Lawrence. It's just
totally.
So
I can't wait to see how this
I know.
Yeah, and what do they view? Do they view him as a wide receiver mostly and a cornerback, or cornerback with some wide receiver stuff peppered in?
You can't have double numbers in the NFL if I'm not mistaken. I saw somebody say he worked 12 on offense, 21 defense or something.
What do you change it? But I mean, go in on defense. Wait a minute, I got to put the jersey.
While this kickoff's going on, take that jersey off.
Right.
Give me a Burger King commercial.
Unless it's a Velcro deal and you take the 1 and 2 and
there you go.
Tear away jerseys.
I'd be mad. Have you ever seen offensive, it's seen players just be petty? Like, I've seen guys, scrape your cleats and make your shoes untied. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't imagine ripping off one of his numbers and tossing it to the side. I hope he does.
Or be like Keith Bullock and stomping on it like the terrible cow. The Tennessee Tyrants.
Just doing the most unheard of things if he's got a Velcro number on.
I love it.
Oh, my God.
I'm looking forward to rookie minicamp this weekend, and I showed Will something that I'd been working on.
Yeah.
So they asked me to write and voice historical reel that they're going to play for the rookie class in the team meeting room.
That's awesome.
And I think it came out really, really well. And then we'll have a surprise for the rookies and the free agents that are sitting there with some alum to introduce past to future.
Little history lesson.
It's really cool.
It's going to be awesome.
I was ready to suit up myself, even though no one asked me to. And Rhett does a very good job, too, of emphasizing the rivalry with the Jags and why it started, because we were the only team to beat them 3 times. We went to the Super Bowl.
Aww.
Really hate that for him.
Oh.
Great stuff as always with Rhett Bryan Wednesday mornings here on the show. Thank you, Rhett. Good to see you as always.
Good to see you all, and I'll be listening to you guys with Mike Borgonzi here just shortly, top of the hour.
The GM coming up in 20 minutes, but before we get to that, there is an athlete not showing up for something in sports that has me appalled and just absolutely upset. I'm upset about something. Everyone's shocked. We'll talk about it next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Good people, they have a big deal going off, man. It's a Big 47 offer for all of 2025, man, where you get 47% off your non-surgical spinal decompression. Hear me out, y'all. I went yesterday. Let me tell you this. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are just good. I got corrected in some places, man. They ended up using their laser on me. I was excited about. I had a pain in my right knee that I've been dealing with for probably about 3-4 days, so I couldn't wait to get to the Wellness Institute, man. Amazing. I feel good. My back feels a whole lot better. And it's because they will lay you down on their zero-gravity spinal decompression machine, man. They got a state-of-the-art facility that is by far one of the best. Let me just double down. If you want to be treated like a professional athlete, no matter what you do in your day-to-day life, I felt that way yesterday. They are good, man. And I'm not overselling them. I'm just telling y'all the truth. If you want to get that nerve down the back of your that goes down your legs or your neck tight or just whatever it may be, when it comes to your spine and back and neck and knees, you got to visit the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Reach out to them at 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com. Genesis Diamonds is your destination for the best Mother's Day gift. This year, get her something that is timeless, meaningful, special. Genesis has put together an incredible selection of Mother's Day gifts that are both affordable and stylish. Layered necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, colored gemstone pieces, heirloom quality jewelry, diamond bracelets, and earrings. These are pieces of jewelry she can wear anywhere from Target to the theater. She can enjoy them for years to come. Dinner out is nice. I know we're going to do that. A thoughtful card is important too, but if you really want to let mom know what she means to the family, Genesis Diamonds non-commissioned experts can help you pick out the perfect gift and stay in budget. Or if you really want to splurge a little bit, check out Genesis' amazing selection of ladies' pre-owned Rolex watches. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. So go see my friends at Genesis Diamonds, and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone is brewed by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Y'all mind if I yell at a horse?
What? What do you mean?
Yell at a horse. Okay.
Why in the world? There's one thing we care about in horse racing. It's the Triple Crown. Yeah. It's the pursuit of the Triple Crown. Well, Kentucky Derby winner Sovereignty, according to a report yesterday, will not run in the Preakness. Officials announced, ending any chance at a Triple Crown for a 7th consecutive year. Preakness officials were told the plan will be to enter Sovereignty in the Belmont Stakes, which is the 3rd jewel of the Triple Crown. We don't care about a double crown. That's June 7th at Saratoga Racecourse in upstate New York. What are we doing? Who do I need to yell at? Is this the horse's fault? Is this the trainer's fault? Is this also Bob Baffert's fault? Is the Preakness happening too soon? I need details on why this is happening, because this is the one thing in your sport that matters, and I don't care anymore. I'm not going to watch either of them.
What
horse is tired.
At a protest.
He's missing which one
He's
again?
to stop horsing around is
Next
what he needs to do.
Right?
The Belmont is the one
He's missing the Preakness.
He's missing the
Preakness.
He's in the Belmont.
The Belmont, yeah.
The
trifecta cannot happen.
Journalism would have never done this.
No, absolutely not. I want to see just a short distance runner, like if he stretches it out a little bit, because they said the Belmont is the longest race at 1.5 miles. So I wonder if that's the reasoning for him. They don't want to get embarrassed and devalue himself going into that next race.
Crazy.
When was the last one to do all 3? And because it's not.
It was.
It's really.
Fire up the Google
It's
machine.
not exactly something that's always super common.
No, it's not. The last time it happened, I watched it, was 18. I got it.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
Justify.
Then. Justify.
Yeah,
Okay.
Justify. And they had 2. I remember watching American Pharaohs also.
Yeah, American Pharaoh was 2015 that broke the drought. When Affirmed was the last one in 1978.
That is probably crazy, though, to do if you have a horse that can be healthy enough and ready to run in all 3.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
That's crazy.
But here's the thing: his daddy wouldn't have did that. Okay,
No.
His great granddaddy Secretariat would have ran this race. You see what I'm saying?
We're talking about old football players. It's like the old horse.
According to reports, the horse had an answer when it was asked if he wanted to run the Preakness.
What did he say?
Nay.
Nay.
He should leave.
He said nay.
You're done for the day.
The Jags have made a move this morning. Wide receiver Gabe Davis has been released by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Didn't work out there for him.
He's going to love Pittsburgh.
Oh, well, maybe, huh?
I hate you.
No, I'm serious.
I mean, maybe.
It make the most
I think going back to Buffalo would make a lot of sense because Buffalo just has like an island of wide receiver 2s that he could join. They don't have a wide receiver 1. They got like 10 wide receiver 2s or 3s. Pittsburgh makes sense.
Yeah,
Still young, 26.
Would the Titans make sense
26.
for Gabe Davis?
He's a free agent.
You interested?
Yeah, I would be interested for either team, Titans or the Steelers, man.
His biggest year, 2022, 836 yards there, 7 touchdowns.
He's a Josh Heupel receiver.
He's the guy you don't want to knock, but you have to ask this question. Was his success and the ability to get that contract was because of the parts around him? Mm-hmm. Can he fly solo on his own and be a number 1? And to be quite honest with you, those are the questions to me in a different way that are being asked about Calvin Ridley, too.
Absolutely.
Will Calvin take a step to be the bona fide number 1? Not by, by his abilities more than anything, not by force in a sense, but it works hand in hand when it comes down to how the quarterback feeds their number 1 receiver. Here, Calvin is the number 1 guy. Gabe was expected to be a strong 2 down there.
He got 1,000 yards last year.
But you also get pushed out when you got Brian Thomas Jr.
Right.
And and Jacksonville also.
Mm-hmm.
It intrigues me for the Titans because Gabe Davis, as a burner with straight line speed, has characteristics that I think Cam Ward could use and Cam Ward could benefit from. Like at his best in college, both as a Josh Heupel receiver at UCF and in the NFL with Josh Allen, was taking the top off the defense. Like, no, Gabe Davis, I would not pay to be a wide receiver 1 or 2, but is he a good complementary deep threat 3? Heck yeah, he is.
I think he's due about $12 million this year. You picking up that contract off waivers right now?
The Titans are number 1 in the waiver order. Is he subject to waivers? with where he vested already.
Let me see what Schefter had to say on that one.
Because they said released. I don't know. The word was not used on waived.
Released
for Gabe Davis.
I thought one was the same.
We'll get you an answer on that.
Yeah, we'll get
an answer. Yeah, he was due $12.5 million this year.
See, I don't know if I would, even if, let's say, you could pick him up on the waiver order, I don't know if I'd pick him up on that contract.
Yes, I mean, yeah. You still have 2 years left on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Because he just signed that deal last offseason.
Yeah, it's 3-year, $39 million last offseason.
That was a bust of a deal.
What was paid out? I'll look that up, too, in a second. Yeah.
He played 10 games with the Jags, catching 20 passes for 239 yards.
That's bad.
I'll be honest, if I'm going to add a receiver, though, I better be positive that it's not hurting the development of my young guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's important to learn what you have in Chimere Dike, Elikiah Manor, and Xavier Restrepo moving forward. And I will put Restrepo in that, considering the rapport he already has with your quarterback.
Yeah.
If bringing in a veteran gets those guys less reps and less opportunities to play and get better, then I'm probably good. Like in a rebuild, you want your young guys you just drafted who are cheap to have the opportunities not to be blocked from the lineup.
So his deal, according to Spot Track, was a 3-year, $39 million deal. $11 million is signed, and so he got another, what was that, 13. So he's 23 guaranteed. They've paid him out 24 million of this deal.
Wow.
That ain't bad. Their out for him was after this season right here.
Right.
They'd have had a $14.6 million dead cap.
It's interesting. So there it is.
If $24 million paid out for his role that he could play here, I'd kick the tires on him 100%.
I think it's worth a conversation. I think he's likely Pittsburgh or Buffalo.
I say kick the tires like he's old.
Because he's also got to want to know what he's going to get out of it too, right?
He has options. He's got options right now, especially if he's a free agent, right? Mm-hmm. And I think Buffalo would probably need a little bit more help, so they take him in a heartbeat.
I think so too.
In a heartbeat.
And plus Josh Allen, Mike, who wouldn't want to go back to catch passes from him?
I would. I'll go catch.
Sure.
I'll play catch with him is what I would do right now. But good move. I mean, Jacksonville, that's fascinating. That has to open up a pathway for Travis at this point. Have to.
You'd think.
Coming up, General Manager of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Borgonzi, joins us next.
Hey, friends, listeners, man, it's Ramon Foster here. I was done with mosquitoes ruining my backyard fun, and I found a solution. Let me tell you about Mosquito Max from All American Pest Control. All American's Mosquito Max is your one-stop proven solution for both mosquitoes and year-round prevention, man. Save money and say goodbye to itchy bites. All American's Mosquito Max includes monthly mosquito misting, spider web removal, and perimeter pest control around your home. So make the change and finally enjoy your backyard, man. Don't let mosquitoes rule your summer. I personally hate them, man. Y'all know. Y'all are probably just like me. I'm not even sure what their purpose are. But what I'm telling you is I'm not going to. Go to yuckbugs.com. That's yuckbugs.com and make the switch to All American Pest Control today.
It is 8:59 from the 104.5 The Zone studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. In the NFL news this morning, per multiple sources, the Dallas Cowboys are trading for Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver George Pickens. The Cowboys are sending a 2026 third-round pick as well as a 2027 fifth-round pick in exchange for Pickens and a 2027 sixth-round pick. The Cowboys will get their wide receiver 2 to pair with CeeDee Lamb, and Pickens is entering the last year of his contract. In other NFL news this morning, the Jacksonville Jaguars are releasing wide receiver Gabe Davis. The Jags signed Davis to a 3-year, $39 million deal last year. And Tennessee Titans general manager Mike Borgonzi joins the show next, talking your favorite local professional sports team. So I'm going to quit yapping and get on with the program. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour of the show this morning on 104.5 The Zone with the crew all here on RKW, brewed by Scooters Coffee. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. We're pleased to be joined this morning by the general manager of the Tennessee Titans, the architect of the draft class that is now official, Mike Borgonzi, kind enough to give us a couple of minutes here on the show. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. How has it been to see sunlight and not be in the draft bunker and the film room for so much, Mike? I imagine that it's got to be a pretty big sigh of relief getting through this entire process.
It has been. I was joking the other day. We were out at practice here, and it feels good to see to feel some sun and to get out in the daylight a little bit. Certainly those 3 months leading up to the draft, we didn't see much daylight then. So it's been good to kind of get outside and get some vitamin D.
As you reflect on this class you put together and rookie minicamp getting started this upcoming weekend, what are the main traits and the commonalities between all of these guys that, as you look back, you feel the best about right now with this group specifically?
I think it was obviously important. You're always looking at the talent to bring in on the roster. But I thought it was important for us this year, and especially moving forward, just having the makeup traits, guys that are smart, tough, dependable, guys that love the process, guys that are team guys. And I think all 9 of these guys that we're going to bring in here kind of fit that. And so we're really excited about bringing these guys in here. They'll be in here this weekend. And, I kind of joke with the staff. It's like Christmas morning when you're a little kid and you wake up and you can't wait to get the presents, and that's the kind of feeling we have this week. So we're excited.
General Manager for the Titans, Mike Borgonzi, joining us this morning on RKW. Mike, take me maybe to the moment, and I know that when you were at Kansas City, you probably had some moments where you had maybe crossed paths with seeing Cam Ward up when he was playing at Washington State, but during this process, when you're looking for your quarterback here, was there a moment or some part of the process where you guys were like, okay, this is the guy we want to draft?
Yeah, I certainly followed Cam's career, especially at Washington State, watching some of those games at night, sitting around at Saturday night watching those games. And I had done a little bit of work on him during the fall, but, of course, we weren't really in the quarterback market there in Kansas City. So I think, the first thing I did when I came in here, I referenced that, I really had to sit down and watch all these quarterbacks. And with Cam, we kind of had our college meetings going on at the time. And at night, we would be in here late at night just getting through really all those games from Incarnate Word to Washington State to Miami. And I really wanted to get, everybody's own opinion on the players, too. So I thought it was important for us to all sit down and watch them separately, and then kind of get together as a staff here. So I would say, before the combine, we had a pretty good idea of, the talent that we saw on film, that we were really excited about Cam, but a lot of us really had not opportunity to really sit down and meet him yet. So the combine for us was really the first touch point that we had with him, and then the pro day and then the private workout. And he impressed us through every step of the way. Not only the player, but just the person that he is, the leader, comes from a great family, great support system. So really, to answer your question, it was before the combine, but really we had to kind of check the boxes here and go through the process of meeting him and sitting down with him and just learning about him. And so, I would say probably right after that private workout, we knew.
Mike Borgonzi with us this morning, kind enough to take some time and talk about the upcoming rookie mini camp. Speaking of that, in terms of the wide receivers that you guys have added, I guess not only with the draft, but in free agency, what was the philosophy there, Mike, when it comes to helping out a young rookie quarterback, but yet, having a mix of veterans in there?
Yeah, no, I think it's important for the room, and especially for these young guys to learn how to be a pro. And guys like, when we signed Van Jefferson and then, of course, Tyler Lockett, they fit that for us. Good players in the league that have had experience that have really can help these young guys grow, on and off the field. So I think it was important to add those two guys in the room for these young guys that we're bringing in.
Titans GM Mike Borgonzi with us this morning. Mike, we appreciate you spending some time with us, man. You were at a spot previously, man, where you didn't have to worry about the quarterback position, maybe not the main star of the show. Considering that being the case, and I've heard you say that, one of the first things you did was just dove into that position because it was a need here. Where did you start? What were you looking for when you evaluated guys in this draft cycle at the quarterback position your first time around?
Yeah, the first thing you're looking for is obviously the arm talent of the player. Can they make all the throws? And then you kind of break down the film of, how do they process things when they're working through coverages in the pocket? How do they extend plays and make things happen when things are, when things are covered? And for me, Cam kind of stood out in that regard. And I'd mentioned a few times, when we scouted Patrick, there was some similar traits in terms of processing and instincts on the field. So that's really where we got started with it. But really, you're looking for the arm talent, to begin with, and then how do they process the game?
Yeah. And before the draft popped off, too, you guys signed some free agents, man. Kevin Zeitler, Dan Moore, Tyler Lockett being another one of those guys, man. I say that to say it looks as if, and if is this the plan that you guys have to have guys in that fit the identities you want moving forward. Zeitler's very well known as a gritty guy. You look at Dan Moore has been an available guy. Tyler Lockett been very available. And then you also look at you guys' draft picks this year, man. Guys that have been captains. Maturity is a huge part. Is that one of the main things you wanted to get done here is just say this is what you want your locker room and team representation to look like with the type of guys that you went for?
Absolutely, Ramon. And your years in Pittsburgh of guys that you bring in, and you have to build a culture in the locker room. And I thought that was important here to get the right mix of veteran guys and then young guys that we can bring in that they can learn from. So that was, part of the strategy here for us as we kind of delved into free agency and then the draft is, how can we improve and keep on stacking these type of players to elevate the culture in the locker room. And that's, as you need talent in this league, but, you also need the traits and characteristics that elevate teams to be champions. So, that was certainly one thing that we were looking for is to really add a good mixture, with Dan and Kevin, really just adding that toughness and grittiness to the offensive line and, adding guys like Van and Tyler. I can go down the whole list here. Cody Barton, guys that are just wired right for the game, and that's going to, elevate the culture in the locker room.
Tennessee Titans GM Mike Borgonzi, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kalen, Will. To that point, Mike, in the interview process, how do you go about finding those character traits and those instincts in players? Like as you go through combine meetings and interviews with these players, what kinds of questions do you have to ask in order to get the answers you are looking for about the person beyond just what the film shows?
Yeah, the first part of it is our area scouts that go into the school and talk to the sources, coaches, people in the building, and really kind of building that profile of the player and for questions that we need to get answered here through the interview process when we meet with them at the combine or pro days, we bring them in on 30 visits. It's the resiliency part too. You know, can you overcome tough times, because you're going to have that at certain points of your career and your life. And then how do they, you know, not just guys that love playing the game on game day, but the guys like really love the process, you know. So, you know, the guys like working out, do they like watching film, just going through the whole process during the week. So we have a series of questions that we kind of delve into, you know, based on a lot of the stuff that our area scouts kind of build that profile in the fall on these players. And we have, you know, different traits that we're looking for, and guys that, you know, just love the process. I know that can sound simple sometimes, but you can really dig in on, you know, especially talking to sources in the building, you know, do they really love working out and watching film, and are they team guys? So really it starts with the area scouts, though, where they put in all the work during the fall and they do all the research on these players and their backgrounds. And then, you know, when it comes time for us to really meet these guys in the spring, is to kind of really delve in the interview and dig down on, you know, do they really love it?
Titans GM Mike Borgonzi, our guest. Mike, a big part of the process now while the draft is done is that secondary free agent market, as teams continue to fill needs that maybe they didn't address all around the league after the draft. At the inside linebacker position, you mentioned Cody Barton. How do you evaluate the running back options that you have in-house, and Otis Reese and James Williams and Cedric Gray? And is that a position where you could still be looking to add more veteran experience?
You know, those are young guys that are still developing, and I think they all showed some flashes last year. Certainly Cedric on special teams, and he got that chance to play in the Indianapolis game. I thought he played well. And same thing with James Williams and Otis Reese. So we'll go through the process here of evaluating these guys through the spring. And, you know, we have an opportunity here, you know, having the number one claim here to add players to this roster and to add competition. So we're always going to be looking here. You know, whether it's bringing guys in for workouts or it's waiver claims, really the job is not done right now. And, you know, certainly all areas of the roster, we need to get better and add more competition here as we get into camp for the 90-man roster. But this is going to be a big time for us, really, to improve that through the spring and right up until, you know, first week of the season here.
Mike Borgonzi, Titans general manager, joining this morning on RKW. How much of your philosophy in being a GM here now is that competition? And you look at some of these rooms, you've mentioned the youth. There's plenty of competition now at the wide receiver spot. How much of that is part of what you bring, you know, to a team? Is breeding competition makes players better?
Yeah, that's part of our job here as team builders. I think that elevates everyone's game if you add competition in every room, and that's the goal. Is, you know, not only to get the, you know, best 53-man roster, but, you know, how can we get the best 90-man roster to really push everybody on this roster to become better as we head into training camp in week one? So that's it's an important thing. That was our philosophy in Kansas City. We were constantly, you know, we were never satisfied with the roster. So we're going to constantly, you know, churn this thing and try to get better in certain areas. But I think that's a really important part is to really add competition because it makes everybody better in the room.
And Mike, on the other side of that too, when it comes to this coaching staff in particular, I know you weren't here last year, but much of the staff intact, and a big part of it was these coaches were brought in to help develop, right? They have a lot of experience at those certain positions. How much will that be a big part of it too when it comes to these coaches and these certain positions being able to be developed?
It's a big part of it, and Bryan and his staff. I think we have a great staff here, and I've really enjoyed working with them over the last few months here, heading up to the draft. And you know, one of the first things I did when I came in here is I sat down with each position coach and kind of went through the guys on the roster, you know, places we can get better. And I thought it was an important thing to involve them in the draft process as well a lot, and to have discussions and to have buy-in and vision for these players that we're drafting. So they know exactly, you know, the areas where, you know, these guys need to develop. And I'm fully confident in the staff here. Bryan has great staff. Really enjoyed working with them. And, you know, I can't wait to see them, you know, on the field here as we head into training camp.
Mike, there was a conversation, not to compare your job to somebody else's job on another team, but Ravens GM Eric DeCosta had a statement last week about how the draft goes, where everybody's pretty much picking from the same menu. It's steak, it's chicken, it's seafood, or crab cakes is what he said. And the delegation on how you pick a guy is basically the same player. It's just you have to be in a position to know what works for you, essentially what I'm saying. I somewhat push back on that because just because you pick number 1 or pick 5 overall doesn't mean that you're going to get that star. We were speaking a little bit about, a franchise quarterback fixes everything. Well, not necessarily. How do you, if you could walk us through, like, try to piece together a championship roster, what you've been a part of in Kansas City, to actually get to that point of saying this worked, that doesn't work, without, I guess, giving up too much of your secrets?
Yeah, well, when you go through and evaluate these guys, I mean, you set the board for a reason, and you have to believe and stay convicted to the value on the board. So, I know there's certain opinions out there, and I do think, the more picks you have, the better chance you have of hitting on some of these players. But if you feel convicted on a guy that, you want to move up and get, I mean, I think that's part of it, when you go through the entire process and you set the board and you create value for these players. So, for me, for our staff, when we set the board, there's certain value on these players that we believe in. And, that's always been part of my process.
Yeah, no doubt. And the other part, too, man, is I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up, picking from a smaller school guy in Sacramento State and Jackson Slater. I'm not sure if they've had more than 2 draft picks in the last 10 years. But what did you see on tape from a guy like him, man, that can definitely play ball? Of his stats are what they are as far as not giving up sacks and whatnot. But your ability, it seemed like as of late, to have a pick like him and Marcus Harris seems to be a very prideful thing for you guys.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. With Jackson, he obviously performed well at the FCS level, and then we had an opportunity to see him at the Senior Bowl as well against better competition, and he certainly did well there. And he's a guy that has some versatility to play guard and center, so we thought that was appealing to us. And again, he had all the makeup traits that we were looking for. It's a smart, tough, dependable guy, that we feel the value that we had, he's got some, he's got to develop more, but, we think he has all the traits to do that, though. And with Marcus, the same thing. He transferred a few times, Idaho, and then he went to Cal and finished out his last year there. But you saw a guy that continually just got better and got a chance to see him at the East-West as well. And those are the guys, that have certain traits, and then they also have the characteristics to really get better. And you saw that throughout their college career, too, as well.
Mike, when you evaluate Cam Ward in a Titans uniform for the first time this upcoming weekend, what do you hope to see from him and the rest of these rookies as they start the process? What will you be watching for as rookie minicamp gets started?
I think Bryan has a great plan in place, and really just for Cam, just getting in and out of the huddle right now, right? and spitting out the play call and getting guys lined up. And as we go, there'll be more put on their plate. But really just getting down to the basics here, especially, this weekend, and then get acclimated with the veterans here next week as well. But, really for us this weekend is really just an onboarding process for us and really just to learn the playbook on both sides of the ball for these guys and special teams, really just to get the mental part of the game down first before they can start moving full speed.
Have you also told Cam how important it is to get the offensive linemen like cars for Christmas? Like, is that something that's came up already?
There it goes.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he appreciates the protection up front, so that's not coming out of my wallet, but I'm sure there'll be something for those guys.
Mike, real quick for me, what is now, since the drafting part is done, and that's so much of your time, and I know there's still free agency, but what is now your time spent on, in these next few months?
Really just when you get hired in this position, you get thrown right into free agency in the draft. And the most important thing is we got to get the players right and set the board. So really, for my staff now is just, and they'll be in here in a few weeks, is to really just sit down and go through the entire process and things we're going to change here moving forward, heading into the fall. So that's really what we're working on now is just tying things up with our process to make sure we're hitting the ground running here once we start training camp.
He is the general manager of your Tennessee Titans, Mike Borgonzi, kind enough to give us a few minutes here on the show this morning. Mike, thank you so much for the time and a very busy week, and I hope to do it again soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Have a great day.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike Borgonzi, our guest here this morning on the show, talking draft and rookie minicamp. Lots for us to react to. Let's do that on the other side. You can react to what Mike told you there with us a couple of minutes ago. 615-737-1045. More RKW after this. RKW 104.5 The Zone in hour number 4. Special thanks to Tennessee Titans General Manager Mike Borgonzi for joining us just a couple of minutes ago. And as always, if you missed that conversation or any of the conversations on the program this morning, check out the podcast, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, wherever you download podcasts. What did you guys take away from the GM today?
I took away that, and I think we started to hear this once we had some of these press conferences and stuff after the fact. But even more so just now with Borgonzi saying this was a quarterback he saw a lot of when he was watching him at Washington State. And he knew about him, but they weren't drafting a quarterback in Kansas City. But it sounds like they all really liked Cam even before all the interview stuff. Like that maybe was quarterback one from the jump for them. And he let everybody do their due diligence of also like looking and making sure they liked him. But it does seem more apparent now that maybe Shadore Sanders wasn't in the mix from the jump, where I kind of thought it was Cam and Shadore for a while together.
Oh, no doubt. I think most did. Heck, it made sense that would be the case, man. What I took from them was their method's going to be their methods. If you feel like they reached, they don't care. If you feel like this is a pick that they could have waited, they don't care. Whoever they believe in. I think the conversation that I saw from Buck Rising, our teammate here, about the potential draft. I mean, the potential draft compensation for the number one overall pick. No, didn't matter to them. They're going to go with their guy that feel like build this team up. And not just that, too. I want to just not overcorrect what he said, but he's talking about like high character guys that are hard workers. And a lot of people want to say, man, screw that. I want some dogs. I want some athletes. Nah. You got to build up a team first and set a foundation. It was good to kind of hear him say, like, not necessarily that they're, ripping the wallpaper off the wall when it comes to, who they incorporated in free agency. But there was a reset that had to happen for the benefit of the locker room. It was kind of cool to hear that.
Yeah.
And mentioned Pittsburgh. That's one of those teams have the kind of culture they're looking to build here. I think to me, it's the fact that they view Cedric Gray getting the first crack next to Cody Barton at inside linebacker. When I asked him about who's the running mate for the guy you signed and mentioned Otis Reese, James Williams, and Cedric Gray, the first guy he brought up was Cedric Gray.
Yep.
And that in one start against Indy last year, he looked good. On special teams, he looked good. So it feels like that is the first opportunity to play next to Cody Barton. Borgonzi was also quick in that same answer to tell us we're number one on the waiver order. Sure. And this roster is a living document. A lot of changes. So it sounds to me like while Cedric Gray is maybe 1A in that competition to just begin spring, which again, take that for what it's worth, that they may still be shopping in that market as well for whoever becomes available.
What a luxury, though, picking at that first spot when it comes down to the waiver wire. It can
makes a big difference.
A luxury. Knowing that they can't tell you no if you really want something.
Right.
I also thought when he brought up, we did a lot of just bringing in as much. We're never, ever satisfied with the competition. Like, we want to bring in as much competition all the time. That's something they did in Kansas City to make sure they were getting the right guys in the right spots and then weed out all the rest, right? And you've seen it with an addition at some of these positions where you're going, okay, who really is going to be that guy? Like the wide receiver room right now, currently, there's going to be a lot of guys that are just going to go out there and try to compete for a spot. And I loved the I guess, affirmation that he had about, hey, we're not going to be satisfied with just a couple guys competing at spots. We want to bring as much in as possible. I love that when you're building a team.
Yeah. For sure, and that's essentially what they're in the middle of, knee-deep in it, to be quite honest with you. He brought that up when it came to Jackson Slater, being one of those guys. Look, there's development that has to be had. What he has in front of him now is hopefully, barring injury, the ability to do that with guys that are playing in front of him that, look, you can see maybe it'll be week 10 before you get a stab at some reps. Like, that's the most ideal thing you can have especially for a guy that's a guard-center combo, and he somewhat alluded to that. Getting Lord Cushenberry back and healthy has got to be one of the main things that they're hoping for moving forward this offseason, too. I'd love to get an update on a guy like him at some point after OTAs start up.
At ESPN.com this morning, Jeremy Fowler has buzz and tidbits from all 32 draft classes and some insider knowledge about the Titans as well in this. Maybe that they weren't right away in on Cam Ward, but quickly were won over in the interview process. Jeremy Fowler writes, the top of the draft was easy for Tennessee. The Titans' meetings with Cam Ward, from dinners to family encounters to quiz sessions on the offense, were what one source described as, quote, pretty stark difference from the rest of the quarterback class. The Titans started to zero in on Ward in early April, which resulted in rebuffed trade offers. The trade conversation got very loud in Indy at the Combine, it seemed like. Yeah. And it does feel like once they put their heads together and had a powwow after the Combine, and then were able to watch Cam in Miami, it was a wrap from there. Early April, Jeremy Fowler says. Lines up with what we know, right?
Mm-hmm, for sure. But again, Fowler better watch out before he finds himself looped into this lawsuit, though.
About the fan that wants $100 million from the NFL for emotional distress because Shadore Sanders slid.
It does seem like to that point, though, they had a blank canvas with the idea that he could be their guy. And I'll say this. Late last season, during the college season, and early in this process, I thought Shadore Sanders and Cam Ward were neck and neck. And I think the perception of it was, too. This is why I think somewhat of a mulligan can be given to the COVID year decisions, right? If you really struck out on them, because there is so much information, I feel like not just we as fans got, but can you imagine the information that teams got with being able to see guys, their families, the players, et cetera, to kind of – there's no doubt in my mind I thought Shadore Sanders was a high first-round draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, and I think maybe if you had only met with Shadore over Zoom, did teams really learn that?
No.
Here's another thing. Going back to last year, if they didn't get to fly down to meet with Tavondre Sweat, I don't think they would have drafted him.
So,
really.
Does that mean we need to give John Robinson more slack then?
With that COVID year, I'll give him a little slack with the COVID year.
See, I still have the take that like there's an alternate history where COVID never happens and John Robinson never has drafts that bad. I think as old school as John ran things at times, it was harder for him to learn who really loves football, looking at a guy in the eyes over a computer versus in a room, and I will die on that hill. And I mean, he still deserves, obviously, the criticism for it. I'm not absolving him of all blame, but I think that was a regime that was particularly unequipped to do a Zoom draft process.
I think when you look at his Zoom pick to Isaiah Wilson,
right.
Like, I feel like the signs should have been there. I know people can, switch it up real good, but I don't know if I can keep you on there for 45 minutes and you keep the same stilo the entire time.
Well, and to the point, though, also, like Mike Borgonzi just told us, a lot of that has to go down to the area scouts doing the work in the fall.
In that fall, we had that.
Yeah.
Before
fall of 2019 happened.
That's true.
Yeah.
And for that matter, like, you can say, you know what, man, you got in 2020. Yeah. But 21, 22,
those
and 23,
are the things I don't get passes.
The thing is, you can't then double down on Caleb Farley after you miss on Isaiah Wilson the way you did. Anyway, we're rehashing the past.
I know.
Jeremy Fowler with more intel on the Titans draft says, after that, if the Titans had stayed at 35, he believes that Boston College pass rusher Donovan Ezeraku would have been a prime option based on talks with teams.
Boom.
Fowler writes, the Titans ended up trading back and selecting UCLA's Oluwafemi Oladejo, who has high upside and the ability to stop the run, a staple of Denard Wilson's defenses. Multiple teams inquired about a potential trade, but Seattle made the best offer. Interesting. Ezeraku probably would have been the guy at 35, which again confirms that Luther Burden and Mike Green were just not options.
I don't think those are fits in the culture they're trying to build right now. And I'm not saying those young men are bad young men. That's not my place to say that. But there was stuff about them that maybe you would pass over if you're not the right team to take those guys right now.
And to add to the fact to the guy that they did choose, Oluwafemi Oladejo, like, I thought when he made this pick, this wasn't going to necessarily be your pass rush specialist. This is going to be a guy that can hold the edge or at least be a tool in the run stopping. Knowing from where Denard Wilson comes from Philly to Baltimore, those two teams pride themselves on stopping the run first. Yeah. And we mentioned this the other day. I feel like on Monday we were having this conversation. If you don't go sign another pass rusher, then the thing that you have to do is be able to stop the ball on first and second down. And that more times than not, is run stopping. It's what is your run defense? And also, too, the embarrassment that they had last year in the run defense. So I look at Oladejo as a run stopper, edge stopping type of guy more than a pass special.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody viewed him at this point in his career now as a rusher like that.
With 2 fourth-round receivers selected, Jeremy Fowler writes at ESPN.com, Tennessee has now picked 10 receivers over the last 5 drafts. One of them from this year's class, Alec Iomanner, recorded 34 contested catches the past 2 seasons. Iomanner and fourth-round tight end Gunnar Helm should have a path to contribute early. Interesting, Chimere DK is not mentioned, but Iomanner is. Are we assuming that DK, as the speedier prospect, is more developmental than Iomanner, who, as the combat catch, big power forward type, could have more of an impact right away, even though he was drafted after DK, who may have a higher ceiling?
I look at DK's situation as he's playing behind Calvin, same role almost in a sense.
Oh, interesting.
As far as being available. You know what I'm saying? Like where the rep's going to come from if that's Calvin's role
in
too.
the slot.
Wouldn't you say that's Calvin's role?
I mean, I think they want DK to be a slot receiver.
The way Florida played him, yeah.
They
slot,
played him mostly in the slot.
But
I also think that they could use him and I think special teams will have a role with DK too.
Yeah, I think he's a punt returner.
In terms of how maybe that's where he begins his big start with that. And I think Iomanner gets more of the national attention. Even leading up to the draft, he got more of that. But I do think he's that a little bit bigger body. He can, go up and get the contested catches. Like, I think that could be a more of a blanket year one for a Cam Ward. If he can stay healthy again.
The thing about this article, too, is to that point, as far as DK is Fowler's a Florida guy. He knows of him. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you're right, how you employ him and using Alec Iomanner. I know. Iomanner.
That last name.
Manner is going to be fascinating. I think he's down the edge more than anything.
Oladejo, Iomanner, DK.
I think Calvin moves in.
Really?
You think Calvin?
I was going to ask. So if you're going, 3 receivers in your base offense, Calvin Ridley is. I was going to say Calvin Ridley is on the outside next to who in the slot, but you think Calvin Ridley could move inside?
I think you almost got to move Calvin around to free him up. When he was dangerous against the Titans in Jacksonville, he was in motion, taking off from the slot position down the field, more than just straight down the field than anything. I think you'll see him lying closer to the line of scrimmage.
I'm open to it.
Lockett?
Yeah.
I think Lockett is a wild card because he played mostly outside a season ago, but is someone who can play inside as well. Mm-hmm. If I had to guess, you're putting Lockett outside, you're putting Ridley outside, and DK is your slot.
Okay.
But I think you could make the argument for Lockett inside, Iomanner and Ridley outside. I think you could say that DK's outside and Lockett's your slot, and then Ridley's outside. You could put Ridley in the slot and play Iomanner and Lockett outside.
There's versatility here.
That is something the Titans have not had, is legitimate options at wide receiver and chess pieces that can be moved around.
Creativity.
The Titans are making a signing on the defensive line.
Let's go.
We will tell you what that is next.
Okay, we've got Sunday is Mother's Day. Don't forget, you still got plenty of time to get your gifts for mom. And don't do the boring like candles or flowers. I was in that boat last year. Upgrade a little bit because gifts are a little bit predictable this time of year. And Oriframes, that's not that. They are the best digital photo frame by Wirecutter, and your mom will be very happy with that. I got my mom one this year. Oriframes come with unlimited storage so that you can share as many photos as you want from your phone to mom's Aura frame. And you can also put up videos on there. So it is quite the impressive frame. Aura has a great deal going on for Mother's Day for a limited time. Listeners can save on the perfect gift. You got to just visit auraframes.com. You get $35 off plus free shipping on the best-selling Carver mat frame. It looks really
Two Rivers
good.
Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
RKW wrapping up the show on 104.5 The Zone. We are brewed by Scooters Coffee, locally owned around Middle Tennessee and Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. According to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, the Titans are re-signing veteran defensive tackle James Lynch, giving the former Vikings fourth-rounder a one-year deal. Lynch was on the team as a depth contributor last season on the defensive line. Lynch played in all 17 games, totaled 20 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. We have talked a lot about how defensive line is the thinnest position group the Titans have numbers-wise at the moment. It gets a little bit thicker with James Lynch.
I actually like it. I thought he was a good depth player last year for them. When he had to come in, you heard his name called, and you just read those statistics. But again, Mike Borgonzi, who we just spoke to, by the way, you can get it on the podcast if you missed it. The first thing he said when he got in here, we got to build the lines up front on both sides of the ball. You're now starting to see, now the starters are in place, but now you're starting to see all the depth come into play.
No doubt. Serviceable player, man. Again, Jeffrey Simmons said with us, he want to be a guy to be able to pick and choose when he go into games. And one thing you can do is just create competition with the guys that play behind him to allow that to happen so those dudes can step up. So solid piece. It's just one of those things where you want to see him make plays.
According to Bolter reports a minute ago, the Philadelphia Eagles have agreed to a reworked deal for tight end Dallas Goedert. The team had trade offers for Goedert during the draft. According to NFL Media's Mike Garafolo, says he was in the loop. And then his agent tells Mike Garafolo to say, decided to remain with the team and selflessly restructured to try running it back. So you took a big bonus and that's selfless?
That's what I was just thinking.
What are we talking about?
Do most people understand what the restructures are?
No. Explain to us.
Yeah,
the restructures are essentially they're trying to find ways. They're probably about to sign somebody else, Philly, that is. So, hey, Goddard, we like to talk to you about restructuring your contract. All right, restructure? Hell yeah. Please restructure me. So what they do is take money that's deferred later and move it up into a bonus, because bonuses don't count against the cap. Bonuses are spread out over the cap. What happens is later down the line, that upfront money becomes or makes him a cap casualty because it becomes due at some point. So it's good now, bad later for guys. You basically get a bonus up front, and it doesn't count against the cap. It's just spread out over the duration of the.
And the other element of it that Howie Roseman loves is void years.
There you go.
Loves to put void years in the back of a contract, which gives you more time to spread out the cap charge over a certain period. So you can, as you mentioned, take that bonus and spread it out over more years. That way it's less, but for more years if you do void years.
Yep. If you are a fringe player, somebody just got injured, you're probably going to get cut if it's in that high cap year if you're not good enough.
It's just funny the way agents spin things to national NFL.
That's their job.
I feel like it's gotten worse.
Dude's probably going to get a bonus in like the next 2 weeks for like $8 million.
That direct deposit's going to hit. He's never
right before vacation time, Will.
Nice.
They take enough from you.
Or it could turn into a roster bonus also, to where whenever opening day, he'll get a big check first day of the league year. First day of the league season.
There you go.
You're right. They try to play this like this is a good thing.
They always know how to spin it, baby.
Hey, Cumulus wants to give me a restructure mine. We can talk too. Go ahead and pay me up front.
Right. Are you your own agent?
Oh, me, yeah.
Good for you.
Garofolo adds, the Eagles had to allocate their money across the roster, so they entertained trade offers, though they always kept the door open for his return. Coaches wanted him back. Goddard preferred to stay in Philly. Also, duh. Yeah. You're crazy. You prefer to play for the, the champs.
Exactly.
They're Super Bowl champs.
The Utah Hippos officially have their nickname, the Woolly Hippos.
Yep.
In Utah, the Utah Mammoth now officially the nickname of the Utah Hockey Club.
Creative.
Pete Blackburn put up this tweet that says, we are now one animal away from the NHL having the holy trinity of the Ice Age films, because now you have the saber-toothed tiger, the Preds, and the hippo, the woolly mammoth, for those who are unfamiliar, from Ice Age.
Yeah, you've got the tusks, and then the head is the peaks of the mountains. So that's what it is.
The logo looks good. They did a great job.
I thought it was
They did a
creative.
great job with this.
I would buy one. I'm a hockey jersey guy.
I'm won over on this by how good the logo is. I think the name is weird. but I try to reserve judgment until I see them in action.
I mean, it's creative.
Yeah.
I didn't see the mountains till you said it.
They said,
dope.
Utah has spoken. A new ice age dawns.
That could be cool.
Coming up tomorrow morning, busy show. Coach Mack at 7:20. Bryant McFadden of CBS Sports. Great time to have him on with what y'all's former employer just did today, trading away George Pickens. Tomorrow at 8:20. And Aditi Kinkhabwala, also of CBS Sports, will join us at 9:20. She had a lot of time on their draft coverage up in Green Bay, so we will have a full show for you tomorrow morning. Right now, though, we go to our VFL brother, our good friend, Inky Johnson, providing us a little bit of midweek motivation.
I'll never forget, man, we were living in Ellenwood, Georgia at the time. And, man, one of the first homes me and my family purchased, excited, you know, trying to furnish the home. Oh, like, I'm talking about a big deal, man. Wife, kids, feeling proud, you know what I'm saying? As a family, we've accomplished something, man. And it was a guy that used to just do portraits, right? And so I wanted a portrait done of me and my family. And we talked, we discussed the logistics, and he ended up doing it. And so when he brought it, I'll never forget, one of my boys was there with me. And when he brought it, you know, he took the paper off. I'm like, oh, man, that's dope. Like, I like that. You know what I'm saying? I get excited. I tell my wife about it. And so he puts it in the place that it's going to be. When he puts it in the place that it's going to be, I'll never forget my dude that was there with me walked up to it, right? And I'm talking about he's super close up on it. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't get your line right. Nah, look at the teeth. Nah, look at your daughter hair. Look at your son hairline. I was like, man, come back where I am, man. Like, I was standing back off. I'm like, come back where I am, man. And he came back and he's still beside me. I said, can you see everything that you just pointed out when you were standing close up? Can you see it back where I am? He was like, nah, I can't see it. I said, sometimes you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. Sometimes when you're too close to something, whether it be situations, circumstances, it's impossible to see the big picture. Like, sometimes you got to step back and you got to let situations breathe. Sometimes you got to walk off. Sometimes you got to let things subside. Because sometimes when you're so close up on something, right, it could be adversity, opposition, challenge, confrontation. When you're so close up on it, sometimes it's impossible to see the totality and the big picture of the situation, man.